Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and wow, Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Yeah. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and wow, Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike.
All right, good morning and welcome in. Happy Monday. It's Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, The Zone Radio Network. I'm Connor Happer alongside Mike Schaefer and Joey Warcola. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here we go. It's the week of the College World Series.
We made it.
We did not have all of our teams yet, but we basically have all of our teams. If not for that pesky rain.
You got to send it to Arizona. All the super regionals in Arizona, you can get them done.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They have to play some baseball on Monday, so might as well let the weather decide that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of just semantics at this point.
Yeah,
like we have like 2 innings in both games.
Willing to agree with this also if one of the games was within, 6 runs?
Yeah, if one of the games was, number one, a game 3, and number 2, competitive, I would be happy to have baseball today. But we'll get funerals for both Kansas and St. John's, and then we'll move on with our lives. Yes, we do not need to play the Super Regionals in Arizona, regardless of the weather. Didn't really wreak havoc on the Super Regionals this weekend, at least as much as it did in the regionals last weekend. But we are just about set once again. College World Series coverage will take over these very airwaves on Friday. Not at this time, though. Mike Schaefer will be doing a show with Michael Severe.
Michael Severe will be here on Friday as we keep the Mike S. thing alive one more time.
Well, that's it,
glad
though.
to see his Twitter back.
The Mike S. Well, he got it back.
Yeah, his Twitter's back.
Okay,
he was commenting my food on Twitter.
Okay, good.
The other day.
He stole it back from Elon. That's good.
Yeah.
But the Mike S. train is ending soon.
It is.
We'll have some other folks in here next week.
But we'll get one more time out of him on Friday. And then he'll actually be back the following week as well to start a new Mike S. streak on Wednesday.
Okay.
I didn't even count. I gotta count and see what the streak is for the Mike S. fill-ins.
We've each missed several shows. So I imagine we're probably in the 10 to 12 range, somewhere around there.
I would think so.
Seem that way.
Not bad.
That's pretty good.
And it's over several. Well, how many different Mike S's? 3. Only 3.
Snow, Stoddard, and Severe.
And we never had Stabs to get the fourth
we
Mike
talked
S.
about it, but we never made it happen. That's early in the morning for Stabs.
It's too early for him.
That is true.
He doesn't
Sort
like
of
to wake up
light
early.
outside, as the song would tell you. So here we go on a College World Series week. Like I said, we'll have some different stuff coming your way on Friday. Of course, stay tuned to the old in-between shows at the Omaha Baseball Village. We're excited yet again here in Omaha to host the SEC Invitational with appearances from the ACC, 1, the Sun Belt, 1, and the Big 12, 1. Awesome. 5-1-1. Looks like the 1-1-1. The entire right side of the bracket is going to be the SEC Invitational. I don't know when the game times are going to come out. Probably at some point today would be my guess. But there is some exciting first-round matchups, including but not limited to, well, the West Virginia-Troy thing is obviously very fun, but on the polar opposite end of that spectrum, you have Texas and Georgia.
Yeah, that feels like the Saturday night special.
Texas and Georgia getting after it. So the question, I guess, would be, is Saturday night the bigger game or is Friday night the bigger game?
Yeah, that's fair.
Because, I always feel like there's a special energy about the first day.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of feel like Friday night is the bigger one. Maybe Saturday night's the bigger one for TV, but traditionally Saturday night is a bigger night than Friday night for television, but I'm not sure.
It makes me wonder if the bigger lead-in would then be the potential of the Oklahoma-Alabama going into Georgia, Texas for a Saturday with that audience, or if you use that game during the day. Now, at the same time, the general interest in West Virginia and Troy from a this is unique standpoint could also be there for that too.
I got to be honest
I'm
with you.
assuming North Carolina Ole Miss is the other night game.
That's what it would seem like. Honestly, it feels like it will just go in order of the bracket.
That's what I was thinking. Almost verbatim.
Yeah, I mean, I think 100%. Like Troy,
I think that
Troy,
that would be
West
your
Virginia.
Friday.
Troy, West Virginia feels like the first game to me. It just does.
Of all of the combinations, it's sort of the most exciting of them.
So yeah, if we could maybe just kind of pencil in a prediction right now, not official by any means, but West Virginia, Troy to start things off. North Carolina, Ole Miss is the night game on Friday. And then, Oklahoma and Alabama will probably be the day game on Saturday, and Texas, Georgia, the night game on Saturday.
Yeah, Texas, Georgia, the heck of a night game.
Yeah, feels really good. Lots of home runs. If you happen to be anywhere near Athens, Georgia this weekend, hopefully you stayed safe.
Goodness.
Those were not hail storms.
Projectiles being launched for sure.
That was just many, many home runs being fed to the trees this weekend. So in a little bit here, after we get things underway, we'll turn our attention to Omaha a little bit. We'll get to some things that we are excited to see and some things that we are a little bit less excited to see. So that is coming up. Man of the weekend at the end of the hour as well. Tonight is Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Get ready for a sporting spectacle of all sporting spectacles. Game 3 of the NBA Finals with the Knicks with a 2-0 lead at Madison Square Garden tonight. Oh boy.
Nightmare scenario.
Well, for some, I mean, actually for everybody, to be honest with you, because they're having some special visitors at the game tonight, and they are
the NYPD canceled their watch party.
Yeah. Well, part of the bing bonging of the Knicks is the crazy people flood the streets and they just watch the game out there. They just want to be near Madison Square Garden, and they are being told to go home tonight. They cannot
can't hang out because
special visitors.
Yes. And then tickets over there, the nosebleeds top level row is $10,000 just to see them play. So that's why they hang out outside the arena.
I can tell you as
watch parties.
As a person who has seen the view from the top of Madison Square Garden, do not spend $10,000 on a ticket way up there.
I think $10,000 is a little high to watch the Knicks play in the NBA Finals.
I'd say it's a little steep,
but
it's ridiculous.
That's just me.
But you'll be able to say you were in the building.
Yeah.
You and several others.
Imagine them losing a game and you spend $10,000 just to see them lose a game.
But they're still
get blown out.
Even if they lose or get blown out, they're still up 2-1 in the NBA Finals.
That's true. But anything can happen. Anything is possible, as Kevin Garnett says.
There's not very many people on this. I don't know if there's hardly any people on this earth who have seen the Knicks play with a 2-0 lead in the NBA Finals. I guess I don't know how it went in 1990.
99.
They lost in 5.
Yeah, so they weren't up 2-0 in that series.
Not sure what they were. They lost in 7 to the Rockets in 94.
They weren't up 2-0 in that series either. I think it was a 1-1 right after the first two. Then they would have been the 70s. Would have been their next series after that.
Something like that. That's when they won the finals against the Lakers.
And I think they had to come back, or they came from behind in that series. So I think.
Okay, so what 1999 lost in 6.
Okay.
That was in the conference finals. I'm sorry. 1999. I looked at the wrong year. 1999 lost in 5, as you said. 1994 lost in 7. But let's see, were they up 2-0 in the series? I sincerely doubt it. Game 1, they lost. So,
I think it was a 1-1 after the first two.
And then the one before that would have been losing to the Lakers in 1972. They lost in 5, so they were not up 2-0 in that series. And so there you go. That explains it. No person on earth has ever seen with their own 2 eyes the Knicks up 2-0 in the NBA Finals, and the people in Madison Square Garden tonight will be the first people to ever witness this. So I don't know. You tell me. $10,000 doesn't seem so bad now.
I still think it's a little high.
I still think it's ridiculous. It's one thing if it's like a couple thousand, but 10,000. No, not for me.
Debo writes
Everything
in,
is exaggerated in New York.
what will be a more expensive ticket, Knicks Game 4 tickets or a ticket to the Swift-Kelsey wedding at MSG? Is that a thing? Did I miss something over the weekend, or is this a joke?
I think it's a joke.
Okay, good.
I thought I saw something, but I did not click on the link because I don't care.
Oh.
I saw it on my Twitter feed a couple days ago, and I ignored it.
From the Swift-Kelsey stuff over the weekend. Anything on the Google search, Schaefer?
It does seem like they are getting married at Madison Square Garden.
Oh my God! When? Why?
Welcome to the Big
This
East.
is what page 6 is saying.
In front of who? Paying fans?
I don't know.
You're gonna have to click on one of those links, Schaefer. I
need
know you
to-
don't want to do it, but do it.
I need more information, and who do I trust? I guess we're going to the New York Post.
You got to trust page 6. They absolutely got this. All right. A rep for MSG did not respond to, so this has not been exactly confirmed. Multiple sources, though, tell page 6 that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding will take place at Madison Square Garden. Quote, everyone's been sworn to secrecy,
July
according to
3rd.
one source. Oh, my goodness. Tie the knot over July 3rd weekend.
At MSG.
The venue has no events from June 29th to July 6th. Thank you, Debo, for telling me about this. I did not know about this weekend. I was definitely off the internet for the majority of the weekend. So this is very, very good. Wow. Probably Knicks Game 4 would be my, so now that I can actually answer your question.
They'll sell more tickets for Knicks Game 4, though. That is the thing.
Definitely.
Like 1,200 people is what the rumor is.
Oh, okay. Is that what page said? I didn't get far enough.
No, it wasn't in page 6, but it was in a site that I wasn't entirely sure.
I wonder what the court layout will be like for a wedding.
Well, they'll get Brent Yormark's fancy court. You know,
Who would officiate the wedding?
Great question.
that is a really good
Rick
question.
Pitino?
Ed Hockley.
Ed Hockley.
I mean, you're asking
He-
about it for
he-
official.
He would go on for like 20 minutes.
That would be great.
You can get any one of those guys.
I got to hear him in person 10 years ago, and it seems like that for every call he makes.
You got to watch Ed Hockley officiate a game.
Yeah, Packers Giants Sunday Night Football in 2016.
Incredible.
Did you just admire the guns from afar? Or?
No, I couldn't really see him. Even though I was in row 10 of the
So you needed to
corner
lift more.
part of the end zone.
He's saying.
Yeah,
Unimpressive physique that Ed Hockley.
I was paying attention more. I was paying more attention to counting Jason Pierre-Paul's digits on his hands.
He ran out of those a long time ago. Also today, here's this will lead us perfectly into it. A comment already from Husker Homer this morning. Before you start the recruiting propaganda, NU 19th and 10th in the Big Ten after this weekend's visits slash commitments. So my question is this: is it propaganda if we just say that getting commits is good? It could be. You can categorize it however you'd like. I'm genuinely curious. If we just tell you the news and some of the storylines that are attached to these several commitments over the weekend, is that propaganda?
Apparently, I guess.
Damn.
We
Can't even tell people the news anymore?
It strikes me as fascinating that you'd be preemptively prepared to be upset about something that is objectively a good thing for your football program.
I know.
But, here we
It's a
are
great point.
in 2026.
I already know what they're going to
Where
say
we
about this.
preference
They're going to tell
this-
me that it happened, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because there have been other recruits that have been bad before.
People want to play for my favorite team. I don't appreciate that.
This is unacceptable.
Don't they know they're bad?
Well-
This team makes me feel bad.
I guess you'll have to stay tuned for our takes and thoughts on them, of which we have many. Also, Tim Verghese has thoughts on them coming up.
Yeah, what an 8 o'clock hour. We're gonna have to get to Tim
perfect.
slightly earlier.
Yeah, we're
we
going to be.
want to hear about all 5 commits.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then the other potential people. Oh yeah, Ahmad Hudson stopped by.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. There's no way we get to everything unless we just told Tim like, hey, why don't you drop by 8 and then we'll just run you
I
through.
suspect I will be talking about recruiting at 9 a.m. as well.
Yeah,
So
there'll
that
be a
could
little
There
overflow.
could be some more propaganda in the 9 a.m. hour.
So Tim Verghese will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. He will be followed by Marty Cordero, President, Omaha Storm Chasers, coming up after that, and Michael Bruntz at 9:15. That is our lineup today. We would love to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the Prayflower Casino Zone Hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at us at HappenSchafe, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Mike, or Joey at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers today. Good morning, YouTube streamers. Even if you are preemptively angry about good news, we still say good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Or maybe that was a scheduled YouTube comment. Husker Homer isn't actually here. It's just a scheduled YouTube comment.
You can do that?
I'm not. I doubt it.
That'd be wild.
Even if you could, I wouldn't be technologically savvy enough to actually, unearth that. Anyway. So yes, Phil. One of the things I always log back in on the on our Twitter page, first thing on Monday once I start telling people about the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed, and it like gives me the here's what you missed stuff over the weekend. What is this I saw about Matt? I know about Matt moving, but as with everything, he turned it into like there was like content that was coming out of this. Was he able to get his couch up the stairs?
Yeah, I didn't watch the video, so I don't actually know if there's a reaction to the couch or the ham and bears.
I just saw several pictures of him like very disheveled.
And then those pictures became memes throughout the online land.
Awesome. Very supportive of that.
There's people who were wondering if he was in the Upside Down as part of Stranger Things. There's people just
that's good.
Wondering what was going on to cause his hair to look like that. I mean, things of that nature.
I'm very supportive.
I talked to him last night. He is quite happy with his move. So it seems like everything, despite all of the issues that they ran into on Friday, worked out.
Okay.
So he'll be in a good mood, assuming he showed up to work today.
I think he'll be here. That'd be my guess.
He'll be here.
I thought he was going to be here Friday, and then it turned out he could have been because they couldn't actually do anything because they hadn't cleaned the unit that he was moving into that allegedly no one lived in. So
nobody lived in the unit that he moved into.
Unit. And then he was like, "Yeah, they needed to clean it."
Okay.
All right.
All right. Cool. Well, we'll get a McMove update later on in the show. But if you missed it on Twitter, I guess it was.
Since when does he care about cleanliness?
I know it was shock to everybody. New Matt.
Elsewhere today on the show, we'll get to some other things that happened over the weekend. We'll look ahead to Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. I saw a good bit that was going around that I want to make people aware of that is coming to Omaha soon. We have a new member of the Nebraska softball coaching staff. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I have.
Very interesting. Dana, have you?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay. Well, we'll tell you about it a little bit later on in the show. So talk about Nebraska's offense and all these different things. And of course, you all. Glad you're all joining us here on this joyous Monday. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. Well, we turn our attention to Omaha as the Men's College World Series begins this week on Friday. Of course, you're going to hear all the game action here on 1620 The Zone and on a couple dozen Westwood One affiliates nationwide. It is a labor of love, and we're very proud to have that be the starting point of radio broadcast for the College World Series. And we have most of our teams as we are getting prepared for the College World Series this week, which will have a little bit of a different look to it, at least inside the ballpark. For those of you who have come to know the Chuck Box over the last 15 years, an added video board in left center field, ribbon boards, LED ribbon boards across the facade of the upper deck instead of just pictures of all the teams that made the NCAA tournament. I'm not sure what the usage of all of these new technology pieces are going to be, but I'm excited to see what they do. The stadium will certainly pop a little bit more, and it will pop for what we know are the following teams. West Virginia, Mountain Mama.
Hooray! This was the one team out of the remaining 16 that I most wanted to see reach the field.
Oh, I was going to say, you said that sounded like a sarcastic
No, it was
hooray.
not a sarcastic.
You were like, hooray.
That was just a 6 a.m. hooray.
You got to give me a good hooray.
Hooray!
That sounds better.
I don't know. That seemed worse for some reason.
It actually kind of did seem more
Yeah,
sarcastic.
I don't know how to
It's
do
more
an
force.
unsarcastic hooray. This is a problem now.
I need to watch a Vikings
I'm
game.
going to be just rolling around with this knowledge for the rest
It's a
of my
good
life.
poll question.
I'm
Do
not
you
gonna
know
be
how to do
able-
an unsarcastic hooray? Can you say hooray and people not
Hip, hip.
think that?
Hooray! No, it still sounds
It
bad.
definitely
I
sounds
don't-
bad.
Look, I wanted West Virginia in. I wanted the fan base here. They'd never made it before. They had a great comeback against Kentucky to win their own regional. They dominated against Cal Poly, which I think was pretty obvious
Kind of expected.
as it was going to go. And they got the win. Now they come to Omaha where they'll take on Troy. I hope this is a Friday opener. I mean, selfishly, it's my best opportunity to be at a full game for the first couple days, anyways.
Okay.
And so I would like to be there for it.
We have Troy.
And Troy, yeah, that's your highest seed remaining, right? The only 3 seed or 4 seed that would make it.
Unless St. John's.
They would have to come back from 5 down and then win again later today.
Yeah, that would be a
assume.
challenge.
Seems unlikely given what we know about their third pitcher.
Who does not exist.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but look, I mean, if it happens, good for them. Otherwise, Troy. And then you get North Carolina, Ole Miss.
Yep.
2 more teams.
So North Carolina, obviously, after losing game 1 and then being down 3-1 in the 8th inning in the
Did you
decisive
get to see
game
any
3
of that?
yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched. I think almost all. Definitely like the back end. Yeah.
So Troy's, I think that's their closer, not Troy. USC, the
men of
those
Troy.
Trojans. A man named Troy.
Yeah, he
Comes
looked like he
in-
was about to pass out and die on the mound.
Yeah, it comes
This
in
is
the
the
8th
second
inning.
straight year where I felt like the opposing team's closer that was playing at the North Carolina Super, I thought was just going to pass out and die on the mound.
Comes in, slams the door in the 8th inning to protect the lead, runner on second, big situation. And then he comes in to start the 9th, immediately gets an out, and then all the wheels come off.
First pitch gets a ground ball out to second base, and then the dude behind him put together just an incredible at bat.
Yeah.
Long, fouled some pitches off, and it was a close take on ball 4.
Hammers a foul ball home run that
Yep.
everyone thought was fair, so you get that whole moment.
Yep.
And then I don't remember what his
I think it
first
was
name is.
walk double, and
Yep.
that was it.
That was it. And UNC moves on. And so they get Ole Miss, who took out Auburn in 2 games. They weren't easy wins, but it just felt like they were the better team very clearly in that series.
That didn't really.
or at least that weekend.
That was quite possibly the least, with the exception, I guess, of the Alabama one. Well, and then West Virginia we talked about. Troy was pretty uncompetitive as well, so never mind.
The
was-
most competitive was North Carolina USC. It's also the only one that went 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it just there wasn't much drama
No.
at Auburn, that's for sure. So Ole Miss blows through both the Lincoln Regional and the Auburn Super and makes their way to Omaha for the first time since 2022 when they won the national championship. Kansas and Oklahoma Looks like it's going to be Oklahoma. That game will resume today
What got
around
into
noon.
Oklahoma, by the way? Like they're just bombing.
I'm telling you, they got
now.
these young freshman arms who are really coming through. I think they're deeper from a pitching perspective than it might seem like on paper, given they've kind of bounced around with a lot of guys this year. But they play, as I've said before, professional ball. Like they are moving guys over. They're getting them in. They don't mind bunting. There's no egos.
They're scoring at
Like,
a high clip.
It's just dudes. And then you have, Taki, who is just smashing balls 900 feet over fences as well. So Oklahoma is a real deal. And they will be a threat once they get here and finish off Kansas. Should the rain let up at some point today in Lawrence. Alabama is going to get by St. John's with a few more outs in that series, and then we'll have a Texas-Georgia game in game number 1. The Athens Super Regional featured 21 home runs over the period of 2 games, and hardly any of them were cheap.
No.
They were mashing, and I do think there is. We'll see. Because we have this conversation every year. There's always a team that really stands out in terms of, their power numbers, and it's certainly what they have done in the Super Regional. And you're like, ooh, is that going to play here? A lot of this is going to play here. Texas certainly hits the long ball as well. But I do think there is going to be a real power element to this College World Series. And then you're looking at a very, very, very consequential first game. Texas and Georgia did not play each other in the regular season because conferences are too big, and don't get me started on that whole thing. But somebody's going to be 1-0, and somebody's going to be fighting for elimination on the fourth day of the College World Series, and it's going to be a really good team on both sides.
But Connor, if we reseeded it, then they wouldn't have to play each other.
This is terrible. They're terrible. They're
terrible.
Why can't Georgia play Troy? They're the worst team there.
3 of the highest seeds are on the same side of the draw.
Sorry, bub. That's how it works. This is a tournament.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
it didn't go how I built it in my brain.
So things we are excited to see. West Virginia.
Yes.
Well, just point blank period. West Virginia, everything that comes along with West Virginia. Please bring.
I hope we see them for several weeks and we get several pizza rolls.
Please bring your pepperoni rolls.
The pepperoni.
In order to gain access to the state, you will have to. There will be a man at the bridge, and he will say, "Where are your pepperoni rolls? You owe us 2." And then, we'll distribute them from there.
They're going to start smuggling those in.
Comatose from eating the pepperoni rolls.
Oh, he doesn't get to eat all the pepper. He just gets to distribute the pepperoni rolls.
Okay.
I don't know who the man at the bridge is, but
What is this distribution network? Because they're going to be coming.
I know. He's got people.
Are they going to give him just 1 pepperoni roll, or you give him 6?
I think it's like a truckload of pepper. The way that they're going to travel.
Yeah, they should.
I think you just park a truck there. You toss all the pepperoni rolls in the truck, and then you distribute the truck as you see fit. So that's an exciting thing. Georgia's attempt to hit 1,000 home runs, I'm excited to see. Troy in general, as we talked about. Skip Johnson ball, just doing the little things over and over again, just kind of like death by a million paper cuts against Kansas this weekend. Ole Miss fans showing up and enjoying themselves as they have been known to do. They will travel. And as our dear friend Rob Anderson said yesterday, had the stat that went around quite a lot, the variety over the last few seasons, even though it's been SEC heavy individually in each of the seasons, we
get different SEC teams.
We have quite the variety. Yeah. So Rob said, regardless of now the last 2 teams to qualify for Omaha, the 24 spots in the last 3, 24, 25, and 26 College World Series fields will have consisted of 23 different schools. Only 1 repeat team, and it's not a repeat team from last year, it's a repeat team from 24. North Carolina has been there twice in the past 3 seasons. We will have new field, and then new field again, and only 1 repeat team from 26 to 24, and that's North Carolina.
That's pretty
cool.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. And I don't know if that says anything. It's probably too small of a sample size to say that it says anything.
How hard it is to get here.
That is that is one thing I was watching over the weekend, just thinking about how hard it is to win a freaking baseball game. I mean,
imagine being USC and you played.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Great all weekend, and you're leading 3-2 with your pitcher on the mound that you want to close this thing out, and you can't do it.
It's so hard.
Yeah,
it's
so
hard to get here.
Tell watching that was going to have devastation written all over it.
Yeah.
So, and it did.
So hard to just win and then win against elimination, or I mean, time and time again we see it seems almost harder to win from the strength position in a lot of cases, to get those last 3 outs to either take a 1-0 lead,
Mississippi State,
oh my god, or to even this series, or to, you know, that's when you're behind a little bit, or to finish it finally. It's just so hard. And the regional format and the super regional format are so different, and you have to play different styles and you know, go deep and get creative and different things like that. There's a weather element to it. You just got to have a lot of things go right. We're not going to have the best, what everybody thought was the best 2 teams in the country. They're not going to be here this weekend, and we didn't see them this past weekend.
It feels like we're going to see a lot of runs in the College World Series.
Runs.
I don't know that like the pitching staffs coming here are going to be throwing up a ton of zeros over and over and over.
There's not a lot of top end arms who are going to be making their way.
Doesn't feel like it anyways. Which, hey,
I'm cool with runs.
Yeah.
If you're cool with 4-hour baseball games.
If you're giving me like the weirdness of Georgia, Mississippi State in the confines of the Chuck box for the CWS, like, I'll take that.
Yeah. Feed the
I'll
trees.
definitely take that.
Things we are not excited to see. I have a couple on my list. A lot of consternation about this over the weekend. Where will Pat McAfee be? He will be here. There's almost no doubt about it. But where and who will he be disturbing? Will he be caught down for a sideline interview by Josh Peterson or myself? Possibly.
Yeah. Will he be hanging out with Matt Rule in Omaha?
Almost certainly.
Will you hit him with a "Why are you here?" if you get the opportunity to ask?
That's
him?
A great question. See, I should Lee Barfnick him.
Yeah,
basically.
Like, why are you here?
What Lee Barfnick did to Sean Eichhorst, I will do to Pat McAfee. Why are you here?
I'm contractually obligated, bro.
I like everybody. That's what Pat McAfee will say.
He probably would.
Will he be wearing sleeves or not?
I don't see any reason that he would be wearing sleeves.
Nah, I don't see the sleeves in his future either. No. I think he's going sleeveless. And then number 2.
Will Matt McMaster endeavor to get him on the Omaha Baseball Village radio show?
Hard.
Almost certain.
I mean, like, hard.
Yeah.
He's absolutely going for it. He's going to be working the phones.
Definitely.
On that one for sure. And then the other thing would be, did you dive at all into Schlossball this weekend with Texas? How much of Texas did you watch?
I watched, what was it? It was 4-3 when I went to sleep last night between Texas and Oregon. And then I saw that Oregon had retaken the lead only to blow it in the 8th inning.
I think there will be some folks that will come to have opinions on Texas and their, let's call it their batter's box presence.
They do the Juan Soto stuff.
A lot of stuff going on in the box.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on in the box. A lot of like pimping balls, pimping walks, a lot of stare downs. We had a guy who got hit last night on like a 2-0 breaking ball, and he like took a couple steps toward the mound.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, I'm ready to fight you. So these guys are, as Aaron Boone would say, they are savages in the box.
It's good because they start on they're in the SEC draw portion of the CWS. So they, right off the bat with Georgia, a team that definitely likes to talk and chirp and do their own
That is
thing.
going to be a very spicy.
So if that is
game.
like an 8-7 kind of game on Saturday night,
yeah,
again, only adds to the element of what should be a lot of fun.
A lot of dudes pounding their chests. A lot of dudes pounding their chests.
There will be no surprise.
What's worse?
What's
worse, dudes pounding their chests or tarps off?
Oh, I mean, they're both I don't truly mind either of them, but there will be scratching. There's going to be a lot of tarps off at the College World Series, so you could pretty much guarantee that.
What are the chances that Josh Peterson ends up in the tarps off section and then just starts doing it with them?
61%.
Okay. If it was you,
I mean, we're going to get him You just have to have the entire like left field grandstand turned into tarps off,
It
and
could
then
happen.
and then it becomes a story that you can't say
Right.
no
No,
to.
I mean,
you got to send the
it
guy out there.
absolutely could happen.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to say it's probably a pretty good chance,
Okay.
or it could be me. You know, you never
Could be
know.
you.
It tends to get a little bit crazy when the weekday games start next week. So there was a look at the weekend, and we're still waiting on a couple more to get to Omaha. How about a man of the weekend? Let's do that when we return on 1620 The Zone. never said that we can't. I mean, I'm going to add somebody to my man of the weekend list here. This is impressive. Here is listener Cody, who texts in a few minutes ago. He sent us his steps, his daily activity. He says this was just day one of Disney World, up and heading to Epcot, listening to Happer and Schaefer this morning.
Let's go.
Wow.
My guy Cody knocked out 33,000 steps yesterday.
Good Lord.
Wow.
That's like two, at least two, I think, College World Series days for me of sideline. I mean, that's incredible. Also incredible that you're listening to Happer and Schaefer. Thank you.
Yeah, that part might be the most incredible, but 32,000, that's nuts.
16 miles distance while active.
Wow.
For Cody.
Good for him.
And it takes about 4 to 5 hours of continuous walking. That's amazing.
That is big time. Big time stuff. So nice job by you, Cody. Anybody want to volunteer here in this trust tree? The nest?
I'll go ahead and do my man of the weekend. Here we spent most of the last week or so with the French Open on during our broadcast here, and Alexander Zverev. I don't.
There's Zverev.
There's like a
Zverev.
He ends up winning his first ever Grand Slam title. He wins it being the lone top 5 player to not have something horrible happen.
I know everyone
during the
died.
French Open.
Yeah,
he survived in a 5-setter, and it at least gives the appearance there's another player besides Sinner and Alcaraz on the ATP.
Is that the truth? Is that the truth?
Now,
though
one of them didn't play in this event. The other one went out famously very early while blowing a 4-0 lead or whatever it was
due to cramps
in the third set. But you take advantage of your opponent's misfortunes, and that's what he did for his first ever.
Maybe they should have
Slam
reseeded.
title.
Maybe they should have reseeded after the.
If they did, he would have been 1.
That's true.
He was the 2 seed.
Yeah,
and it's still somewhat of a surprise he actually won.
Carnage in front of Mr. Zverev.
That's all it takes for him.
Congratulations. So what did I see? There was a stat that was going on the bottom ticker yesterday about how he was the X amount of oldest person to win their first major or something like that. Like,
yeah, I think
we have like many time major champions.
He was just on the wrong end with so many great tennis players. You got Rafa, Roger, Djokovic, and then got Alcaraz and Sinner.
But the funny part of the stat was he's only like 29, and so it just shows that when we get major champions, we get multiple time major.
Yeah,
and it's just them who win the majors throughout their entire career.
You win one in your early 20s, and then you win throughout at that point. To sort of, he's not really like a journeyman because he's been good, and obviously he's a top 5 player in the world. It's just that tennis is so dominated by about 5 to 7 individuals over the last 2 decades.
That's it.
That 3 decades really. So, hats off to him for taking advantage.
Joey, what do we got?
Well, I was gonna say Zverev, but I had another one in mind.
Backup man of the weekend.
You know I love geography. I know my interstates and maps. So why not give it to a state? The state of Indiana. They are getting a second NFL team with the Bears leaving Chicago.
I'm shocked.
And they're going to go to Hammond. And who knows? They might get a third NFL team. Cincinnati might follow suit. Indiana's like right over there. It's about a 20-minute drive from Cincinnati. They might get 3 NFL teams, one on the northwest corner, one on the southeast corner, and then one in the middle at Indianapolis.
I cannot believe that we were not on air when this news broke.
This happened during
a travesty.
This happened during the midday show.
I know.
Obviously, Michael was hosting.
Yeah, it was all set up for Matt to have a complete conniption while he was on the air, and yet he was doing nothing while moving over. I mean, that was an ultimate misfire by really everybody. They should have released the news to us. That way we could have laughed our way off the air
to him.
And we could have released the news to him.
It would have been funny if it happened during a crossover with Matt in it, and then either you two or John and Josh just laughs at him.
Obviously, the best possible scenario. Yes.
It would have given us an opportunity to get to the subway that they have at Hammond and take some photos from there.
Kind of like when Josh Peterson reacting to the Micah Parsons trade deal during the show in Kansas City. This would top that. happening during the Zone live broadcasts.
I agree completely. So my man of the weekend is a young gentleman. His name.
Oh, you don't have to say me.
It's not you.
Oh, okay.
There are many young gentlemen. It doesn't have to be just you.
Okay.
So this is a guy. Now he does have an unfortunate last name, which is Epstein.
Ooh.
But his first name is Jake. But anyway, he still gets my man of the weekend because what he decided to do was stand in front of Madison Square Garden yesterday in preparation for Game 3 of the NBA Finals, which is tonight. So this is yesterday he started this. And what he put out a sign in front of him, and he put up his phone, and it said, "I am going to say Jalen Brunson 100,000 times before the start of Game 3 of the NBA Finals." And there he was. He had 70 YouTube subscribers when this started. And he goes, "I'm going to do a live stream of me saying Jalen Brunson 100,000 times." And by the end of it, he's got so many viewers on YouTube. He's got a quote tweet from Ben Stiller that says, "Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson." And I believe the status update on it is that he got to like 95 or 96,000 yesterday and then wanted to save the last few thousand for today. So Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson. Congratulations to my man of the weekend, young Jake, who is 22 years old and is just really thinking outside of the box.
You know who's
was someone doing a clicker, or how did they?
He would press like the space bar every time. He's got his computer out. It just
You know whose name he should be saying instead of Jalen Brunson?
What?
Karl Anthony Towns.
It's way harder though. You'd end up saying
so
several
much
more
longer.
words. Yeah.
Or you could say cat, 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 cat.
See that, but that defeats the purpose.
It doesn't work the same
Jalen
way.
Brunson.
People in New York would
Now,
know that.
I will have you know that I watched for a little bit.
That is not surprising.
I tuned in live. I wanted to see what's going on. And there were times where he went into long stretches of Brunson, 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 Brunson. And I was a little bit miffed by that.
Yeah. You said you were going to say Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, he said he was going to say Jalen Brunson 100,000 times, and and yet
you're still giving this individual man of the weekend.
Now, I enjoy his entrepreneurial spirit.
Now I got
more like bit of the weekend.
No, that's a different thing. I'll talk about that later.
Now I got a curious question. Would any Jays fan or if any one of us Jays honks go outside of CHI and yell Jason Green 100,000 times?
I think we know the most likely suspect of that, and they're somewhere in our YouTube chat, but not till probably a little bit later.
Yeah,
later on in the show. Yeah, if anybody wants to go out in front of the chai and say Jason Green, Jason Green, Jason Green, Jason Green, Jason Green 100,000 times before a big game this year, you can be my guest. That sounds like an awesome. If somebody decides that they want to do that, we could find a way to like put the radio show next to them or something like that. While this person is just saying Jason Green, Jason Green, Jason Green, Jason Green, Jason Green.
I think instead, during an actual game, someone should be outside saying how many times they can say Jason Green from the start of the game till the end of the game.
Oh, good one.
And then
Jason Green!
You could be there with your Jays live or whatever it is that you do.
Click, click, click. We're checking in with them outside.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea. I don't mind that. All right. We will see if anybody wants to step up to the plate for that opportunity. Those are our people of the weekend. In one case, it's a state. In one case, it's a guy. In another case, it's a guy. All right. We're back 7:00 hour after this on 1620 The Zone. 7 o'clock here on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. I'm Connor Happer alongside Mike Schaefer, Joey Warcola here as well this morning. Big week coming up. College World Series this week. Also, we will add this. Middays with Matt will be live at Werner Park this Wednesday during the Omaha Storm Chasers game. The Chasers will host the Las Vegas Aviators for day baseball at 12:05. And the game action can be heard, as always, on 1290 Coil with our dear friend Nick Batters. But young Matt will be out there, and who will be surrounded by the elements of baseball.
Is it Bingo Wednesday or something they do?
I'm not sure how they do it. We'll have to ask Marty when he comes on the show.
Okay.
But it would be such a shame if somebody went out to the park and bought Matt a corn dog and had him eat it live on the air. That'd be terrible if that happened. Wouldn't it be?
They're terrible.
They're terrible.
I just don't know if that's the sort of radio disaster that we want to court, but you know, at the same time,
it's happened to some people before.
yeah.
And then there was memes, things of that nature. It would hate to add another person to the corn dog eating meme club.
What a club!
Who are the Las Vegas Aviators affiliated?
I was wondering this. I think it's the Vegas or not Vegas. The
is
Rockies.
this the same franchise as the 51s? Is that the same team?
They are. This is now the Athletics. It's the affiliation of the Athletics.
That's what I thought.
So
it was.
it is the old. Oh, okay. All right. Well, they're still going to play in their park when the A's moved.
2019, the Athletics took over this organization, which has bounced around from several teams.
Yeah,
it's been many different things.
Okay.
So prior to being the Aviators, they were the Vegas 51s.
The Mets, right?
And that was the Mets
Yeah.
For several years. But before that, it was also the Blue Jays and the Dodgers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of trading of teams in minor league baseball.
Well, there was the whole reshaping of
Sure.
it during COVID, which that's kind of a line of demarcation. But even after that, there's been several sort of changes.
Well, Cleveland once traded the Buffalo Bison for the Columbus Clippers, which the Yankees had the rights to. They just swapped the rights to those organizations once.
Really?
Yeah.
When was
It
that?
was like the 90s.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'll look.
So then the Yankees took over Columbus or the other way around.
Cleveland took over Columbus.
The
and
Yankees
then the
took over
had
Buffalo?
And then they got rid of that in favor of
Scranton. Yeah.
Buffalo then went to Toronto.
Buffalo is Toronto
Yeah.
as we speak, I
It was
believe.
just weird.
Odd. Anyway, minor league baseball, nothing like it. Speaking of, Marty Cordero will join us coming up today on the show. Big news of the weekend for Nebraska. If you were susceptible to hype, actually, you know what? Let me start you up this way, since you don't want to hear the hype. Nebraska lost a commitment over the weekend. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I haven't heard about this.
Dana?
Tell me more.
I haven't seen that.
They lost a commitment. I don't even remember this guy's name. He's dead to me now, but he's out of the class. Apparently, he was their lowest ranked player in the class, and he's gone. And he went to where?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
He was one of the lowest. He wasn't the absolute lowest.
Okay.
But
All right, my apologies.
Caden Howard was still really interesting. We would
Caden
talk
Howard.
to Tim about him here. He's a very, very fast track guy. The kind of I wouldn't say undersized wide receiver, but he's not big. So I guess undersized wide receiver is sort of how he'd be described. But very fast, was friends with Ja'Cory Barney, was interested in what Nebraska was doing from a speed perspective with smaller wide receivers. I think they were recruiting past them.
Okay.
Is kind of the idea. Matthew Gregory, one of the visitors that they had over the weekend, and then there's some other wide receivers thereafter as well.
Many, many visitors. And people always say, well, okay, once one thing to bring in visitors, how about you bring in a commit? And Nebraska said, okay, how about 5 of them? So this started on Friday with the verbal commitment of Errol DeMontenac.
Yeah, DeMontenac.
Got it. Nailed it. This is my first time saying all these people's names, by the way.
You did very well with that one.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're in pronunciation season, learning how to pronounce names that
The
we
rest
don't
of
know.
these, I think you'll be okay with.
On Saturday, we had former Nebraska basketball player Bryce Williams join the
Nailed
fray.
that one.
Well done by him. 4-star, highest rated recruit out of the group of recruits that committed this weekend. And then on Sunday, a trio of Joey Hunter, Eli Harris, and Maato Mo.
Mate Mo is how it's been pronounced by others. I don't know 100% on that.
Well, that sounds like it makes more sense, to be honest with you. But he's an edge rusher. He was committed previously to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Joey Hunter is out of Grayson, and he's a tight end in the class. Notable. We'll talk about that in a second. And same thing with Eli Harris. Those two are teammates, Joey Hunter and Eli Harris. They come in the class as well. But that's not all the storylines from the recruiting weekend, Schaefer.
Ahmad Hudson made his way back to Nebraska for the first time in 2026. Remember, he had a couple visits that were scheduled that got scuttled because of weather. And then he got invited to a Team USA camp, which prevented him from showing up in March. He committed in late April to LSU when they allegedly came through with a very large offer for NIL funds, a inducement to commit immediately on the spot, of which he did. Visited Nebraska this past weekend. Sounds like everything went well. Still slated to visit LSU here in a couple weeks. Nebraska's involved. It's just a very uphill battle. I mean, I like,
but at least he visited. At least he didn't cancel late again.
Yeah, no, I mean, he showed up. I think there's genuine interest in the idea of playing with Trey Taylor, and he likes Nebraska a lot, but LSU is LSU, and it's really hard to get past that.
Here is a couple of the quotes from. We won't spend too much time on Ahmad Hudson. There's bigger picture ideas I think to take out of the weekend for Nebraska, which got a nice group of commitments this weekend. From Ahmad Hudson, this is from Sam Spiegelman of On3/Rivals, who caught up with Hudson following his visit to Nebraska. Quote, "The visit went great. They're a pretty strong contender. Just being able to get up here, seeing everything." And then the one that sort of got put on the graphic, because recruiting is just graphics now, quote, "They would change the whole offense for me," he added, which everyone kind of knew that was going to rub some people the wrong way. When I saw the graphic that said they would change the whole offense for me, I was like, uh-oh.
I mean,
not going to go very well.
Is it that revelatory that they would say that to a player that they consider to be the highest of their board, and they don't have an offense? So what are they going to change?
That's honestly the first thing I thought about. I was like, they would change the offense.
So they're going to attempt to do something?
They're going to have an offense.
They're going to try to score points? Look, I'm in favor.
It is. I will say the messenger here of the quote is a little bit like, it probably gives you the heebie-jeebies a little bit. You're like, yeah, they would, if I went there. That's kind of the we don't know the tone here, but we do know the context, and the context is, like you just said, Schaefer, it's going to be difficult to see him in a Nebraska uniform, at least in the first time around. He's going to end up at LSU. And so when that guy, who's probably not going to end up here, says, yeah, if I went there, they'd change the whole offense for me. I don't know the tone of the quote. It just like the sense is that maybe he is looking down on the Huskers a little bit or something like that. I think there's some genuine interest, like you said, but like Nebraska's courtship of him seems to stop literally nowhere. Like they'll tell him just about whatever it takes
for
him to get him in a Husker uniform, and that would be including playing basketball and bringing on friends and teammates and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a guy that they viewed as the highest player on their board. They have the best opportunity of him out of any of the top 30 players in the country. And so, you're going to probably be somewhat outlandish in what you claim. And who knows what was actually said in that regard. I mean, also, what does it look like to change your entire offense for a split out tight end? I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing it because it couldn't be worse looking than what last year's offense was.
Yeah.
So, and that included an All-American running back.
It did have an All-American running back.
I continually have to tell myself.
Also, it
that.
could be worse than what last year's.
Oh yeah,
offense was.
no, they've been worse than last year's offense.
Yeah,
it's just that they weren't supposed to be bad.
Yeah. So I don't know. That one was sort of interesting, but it's very, very clear. I mean, Nebraska will, and some people don't like this idea. So another thing that came out, this is gets into the big picture idea a little bit here. But we've seen this in recent months. Nebraska has, for a reason, they have transitioned to taking kids off of the airplane and then driving them immediately onto the middle of the football field. Have you seen the videos that have come out?
I haven't. I haven't watched this.
This is part of their new recruiting deal. I think they get the kids off of the plane, they land, they get in the car, they probably get them on the tarmac, right? They get in the car, and then they don't stop until they get to the 50-yard line at Memorial Stadium. Right in. That's where their visit begins, right? It's cool. It's like it's an interesting touch. So there's that, and like with the Ahmad Hudson part, it just feels like Nebraska would really, 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 really bend over backwards to try and get his commitment, which I do think traditionally, it doesn't sit particularly well with me. I got to be honest with you. Like, I understand you got to do what you got to do to get the commitment, but there's a certain point where it just looks like, I don't know, you're doing too much.
Yeah,
to be honest with you,
maybe that's the case. If they end up with the kid and he's good,
yeah,
it's worth it. If they don't, I don't know that they're doing anything that's precluding them from doing anything else, I guess. Part of it is,
what do you mean precluding them from doing anything else?
Just because they're recruiting him hard and uniquely doesn't mean that they prevents them from being good at recruiting or doing there's no opportunity loss is what I'm
No, I don't think so. But I just look at it from the perspective of they have very, very clearly, and not that they wouldn't prioritize their number one target on a board on any given year, but it just feels like they would say and do anything to get his commitment.
I think a lot of it is that they're really it's closer than people probably are willing to believe because he's committed to LSU. My guess is, and I'm just guessing, I haven't talked to anybody about this. I don't cover recruiting anymore. Usually you're not doing this if you don't think the door is somewhat open. So they want to make sure that they're entirely told no. So they're going to give themselves every opportunity at it.
So there are a couple more potential ones to look forward to over the next 24, 48 hours that visited over the weekend. Then, of course, there's more visit weekends coming up here in the month of June. We'll talk plenty about that with Tim Verghese, who will join us in about an hour. But Nebraska, as far as from a recruiting standpoint, is up to, and this is what the Husker Homer was scared of earlier.
The propaganda.
The propaganda before you start the recruiting propaganda, and you 19th and 10th in the Big Ten after this weekend's visit/commitments. I don't know in what world Nebraska being ranked 19th in a recruiting class is bad or could be spewed as
what
propaganda.
He's trying to say is you should say not that they're 19th overall, but that they're 10th in the Big Ten.
Well, according to the On3 one, they're actually 7th. So,
yeah, I don't know who's he's using. Let's see what Husker 24/7 and the 24/7 sports people say.
Yeah, and they're at 15 commitments on the list that I'm looking at right now, and 7 of them are blue chips. And so, yeah, I think they're off to a really good start. Obviously, this it really helps when you have your quarterback commitment.
They're 10th in 24/7 sports.
10th in the Big Ten.
Yeah, 10th in the Big Ten ranking.
There you go. So don't get too high on the Huskers because they're 10th in the Big Ten, where they might be 7th. People forget. No, I think it's going about as well as you could have hoped, right? Without a really the big fish in your class right now is obviously Trey Taylor. I mean, I still think there is, not that I'm a recruiting analyst, but there's people who set out sort of on this thing. We'll talk about this with Tim later. Who's like, oh, they could have a top.
They wanted to try to have a top 10 class.
They could have a top 10. Yeah. It just feels like there's not a whole lot of opportunity for super duper upward mobility here. But that will not preclude me, from saying that this is a good class so far. And
yeah, they're gonna finish with a top 25 class.
Yeah.
It's usually where they're at, and that's where they will be. And the key for them is almost never that number. It's how many of those guys stay and then turn into all conference level players.
That's right.
Never as high as it needs to.
Text to the 402. I'm disappointed that I haven't heard anything about livestock being involved in this recruiting weekend. Schaefer, anything on that front?
I have not seen any pictures of
no cows.
Cows.
People got really offended last year when I called it the cow, so be careful.
Cows, bulls.
Yeah. It's a bull.
Chickens.
It's a bull. No, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they could get a chicken involved. I only saw modes of transportation. There was cars and helicopters.
Whoa.
Did you see the helicopter?
No.
They flew the Well, how do I see more stuff than you this weekend?
I didn't spend really much time on social media this week.
I mean, I congratulate you and I'm jealous of you, but I barely did either. And all I saw was, I flipped through it one time and it's like, oh, there's the helicopter. There's the recruits going onto the field. Yeah. There's Ahmad Hudson and all these different pictures of things. There's Matt Rule.
Yeah, I saw Friday that Ahmad Hudson was visiting and then didn't really think anything of it again until like midday Sunday. I saw like a tweet of Nebraska was having a big weekend. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? And then I looked at it and read some stories and didn't spend any time on Twitter on it. And it was pretty good.
Job by you. I didn't see Matt Rule wearing any like giant chains.
I didn't see a single picture of Matt Rule with another recruit.
I did.
Okay.
There's a couple of those.
Yeah,
they definitely existed. Matt Rule he's alive. He's intact.
Got a sense of things, and I got out.
But he wore regular clothes. Like he did not wear like a giant chain.
Okay.
He didn't have grills. He didn't he wasn't with the
what
cow.
Direction was his hat?
He was wearing pants and a Husker polo from when I saw him, and no hat.
No hat. Wow.
Yeah. So pretty toned down weekend for Rule. Although I did see another. How many things did I see? I saw another picture of.
So no hat, no cattle.
No hat, no cattle.
So not all hat, no cattle.
Just none of anything.
No hat, all cattle.
Right.
No hat, no cattle.
None of anything. But there was an outline of the state on his driveway, and he tweeted that over the weekend.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That was cool. That's the any big picture takeaways from that, Schaefer?
Well, there's definitely going to be
it
more coming. So there's guys that are set to make decisions here in the next few days, including 4-star wide receiver Matthew Gregory is expected to potentially make a decision. 4-star defensive back Jalen Hill expected to make a decision. Nebraska looks strong in those. Errol DeMontac, was he one of the commitments?
He was
one of the commitments. Nehemiah, I can't think of what the last name is here. There's another 4-star defensive lineman, Nebraska, Missouri, battling that one for Nehemiah. See, I would know this if I needed to know it, but I don't have to know these names the way that I used to.
That's fine.
Nehemiah, that's all you need to know.
Nehemiah seems like an interesting guy. What about Albert Simeon? What happened? Well, we'll talk about all these things with Tim later on.
Big visit. Nebraska put its best foot forward. And
how about Nehemiah Umbadi?
There he is.
I got you, man.
Nehemiah Umbadi.
I got you. All right.
I think he's making a decision on the 10th.
More on this with Tim Verghese coming up in just about an hour, so stay tuned for that. Take a quick time out. Want to hear from you all, 402-951-1620. Any big picture thoughts on recruiting or anything else we will or won't get into on the show today? Tweeted us at HappenSchafe on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. A quick reminder before we go, this week's half-off deal still goes on. Yes, even during the College World Series, half-off deal is with Stories. 5 $10 vouchers for just $25 to Stories Coffee Company. Delicious coffee in one of their 5 Omaha store locations. Matt will have your opportunity to win for free, or you get the zone deal for half off Friday at 9, 1620thezone.com.
Good luck with that, Dan.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Warcola with you here on this Monday, starting off with a little gloom, but not so much for Nebraska recruiting. It's not doom and gloom. Usually the word gloom is started, it's prefaced with doom, but not today. And we're joined now on the phones by our dear friend, Old Man Doug. Hi, Doug. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
What's up?
It was a good recruiting weekend, so hopefully we can keep and develop all those players. This is the biggest question I have, though. Is Trey Taylor already getting paid by Nebraska, and if so, what means? And so I'm also wondering, wouldn't Ahmad Hudson, if he flips, or let's just say Trey Taylor would flip someday, I hope he doesn't, but I don't think he will. What does he owe the school, or is there some kind of a contract that's already signed? Because that's the thing that I guess I don't hear much about. And Schaefer, you probably would know.
I don't have any specifics on anyone's NIL agreements. It's pretty rare to get overly specific information. We know a lot of players in more recent times have been signing agreements with schools that are more legally enforced, which is why we saw things like Darian Mensah and Duke trying to claw back some of the money there. Indiana, I think, was trying to do the same with Brendan Sorsby. So some of it is just depending on how those are structured. As it relates to Trey Taylor, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure Nebraska is not a state yet where you can be paying high school athletes for NIL. However, I think Illinois was, but since he now lives in Nebraska and will be a Nebraska high school student, I'm not sure that he can collect NIL yet. So I don't, again, the structure on all of these things are a little unique, and they're all going to be a little different case by case situation. So I don't think that he has started any NIL with Nebraska at this point in time. I don't know that he would still have standing to be a high school student athlete if they had. Now, in some states you can, Missouri being one of those, I know for sure. I don't know if Illinois was either. So not a great answer for his question.
He mentioned that they were going to change the entire offense, go to 13 personnel perhaps, or 12 personnel. I guess I also thought that this would be a possibility, is maybe Lane Kiffin is cooling to the idea of him playing two sports. And I'm trying to think how you do that and what the logistics are. I guess, does Hoiberg say, okay, he's that good, we'll wait for him in January? Does he do some spot practices here and there? I'm just trying to think of the logistics of that, because is he going to play would he play two sports at LSU?
Now that's the idea. I'll tell you my perspective on it is it just feels like a carrot to dangle in front of the player so you can get them to sign with your school, and then once they get there, you're like, all right, this actually doesn't really work, so you're gonna have to make a decision. Like, honestly, that's how it feels to me. I don't know how Hudson feels about it. Maybe he feels like he could actually do it, but we haven't seen a guy actually commit themselves to playing football and basketball in a while.
Okay, well, I mean, it was a good recruiting weekend. Hopefully a lot of them pan out. Look forward to hearing from Tim Verghese. And are you guys taking a vacation after the College World Series?
We'll see. It'll be a couple days here and there. We'll try to
be right back the first Monday or Tuesday after the College World Series. It'll be Happer and Schaefer.
That's right.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks, Doug. All right. So here's an interesting. By the way, do you agree with me on the whole dangling of the carrot thing?
I would be genuinely shocked.
I just don't know how you do it.
Shocked if he plays a single minute of LSU basketball.
I know. Yeah.
So now I will say the big difference there is I think there would be a genuine effort on Nebraska's part to allow for the idea that he could play with basketball. I don't see how logistically it would work. Now, I could see it very much being Hoiberg would welcome him being at practice if he wanted to be competitive in that environment. I think Rule would be okay with it to a point. But the overlap of both of those seasons, it's not like he's going to leave the football season for the start of basketball.
Right.
And it's hard for me to imagine that if he starts basketball, that he would leave the end of basketball for football start of things either.
You just can't, so it works both ways. It's really, really difficult for the student athlete to commit themselves to both because, number one, first and foremost, like you just explained, Schaefer, the seasons overlap. Like that's the biggest logistical problem of it all. And you talk to any basketball coach, because basketball is after football, you talk to any basketball coach and they'll tell you that the most important time to be around the team is right in the heart of football season. It's in September. It's in October. And certainly when the games start in November, like you need to be there to have the ramp up. And so if you don't get it, maybe the pure athleticism takes over. The other part is it's difficult for the teams, individual teams themselves, the football team and the basketball team, to commit themselves and come up with a plan that works for the player, right? Like if they're going to actually have Ahmad Hudson, like they're let's say he comes to Nebraska, far-fetched, but right, he comes to Nebraska as a football student athlete, and the basketball team's like, oh man, yeah, we really want him for basketball, and we're going to invest into this guy, and we're going to make him a part of what we do. Like, how do you even do that when you don't know when he's going to be with you?
Right.
How do you say, all right, I think this guy, I could put this guy on the floor for 10 minutes in a game, and he doesn't even get here until December? Like, that just seems hard.
And how prepared would he even be to be able to play
from a physical
basketball when you miss the entire non-con? There's so many other things in this too. Like, going back to that quote, if you're going to reinvent your entire offense around a guy, you probably need to make sure he's in the room or in the, building during the start of January. Football has kind of flattened out. Like it's always been big, but now it stretches into January where you have these early season workouts are so valuable. Like back when Wilson Thomas and Matt Davidson were playing football and basketball, you didn't necessarily have that as much of a thing.
I wonder if there's
same with like Julius Peppers and Ronald Curry and guys who've done this.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to be back in the building on January 6th to maybe a wrong date. January 8th.
Nice. That's a Monday. Yep. Mm-hmm.
January 8th to good Lord. To basically be there for workouts and everything. Like it's just a different level that this sport is at now.
I think so too. And I do wonder.
I want to see it happen. Like, don't get me wrong.
I wonder how it would actually work.
But mostly from the logistical, I don't understand how you could pull this off.
So here's a thought. Like, let's just say, and we're dealing with this particular player. So what we know about Ahmad Hudson, right? And once again, this is in the scenario that he ends up at Nebraska, or even that he does the same thing at LSU. But we just know about the situation less down there. So we
He's
apply
not
it to
old enough and hasn't played professionally to be playing for Will Wade for basketball.
Okay, so what if so is he good at basketball? I guess that's the question.
No, he's good at
how
basketball.
good is he at basketball?
I think he's legitimately a good enough player for basketball that he could be like a real power conference basketball player.
Where do you
what
think
level that is? Like, I don't think that he's a NBA talent.
Where do you think the learning curve for him or a player like him would be more difficult right off the bat? Would it be harder to immediately play in a football game or harder to immediately play in a basketball game? So what if you said, okay, you're not really, if Matt Rule said, all right, you're not really a part, once again, we're gaming this out way long now. You're not really a part of our on-field plans this year. You're on a redshirt type of program. And, if we need you, we need you. You're going to practice. You're going to do all the stuff with us, but you're not in the you're playing scout. And then in basketball, you could be a player. You could be a 10-minute a game player or whatever for them right now. And you kind of work on a year-by-year basis, and it probably flips back to football, eventually. But you get 1 year of a decent basketball player. Like, that doesn't sound like the worst thing. That could be feasibly, and logistically doable, I suppose. It's still really hard, but I don't know. I'm just trying to game out a way where it's possible.
Well, and just to he's going to play a position at tight end that is really difficult to play early in your career because you're asked to do several different things. One, you need to be physically gifted enough to win in your routes, win against coverage, understand the playbook, understand, the concepts of what you're supposed to do and all of that. You also have to be gifted enough that if you're asked to seal the edge, that you're not a massive liability and that they can afford to have you out there.
Yeah, that's why coaches like to have their players around.
Luke Lindenmeyer took several years to be able to get to the point that he can contribute as an inside blocker and in the passing game.
Coaches don't put you on the field or on the court unless they trust you. It's the biggest thing. It's the most important thing. And in a lot of cases, it's the only thing. And if you're not there, they can't trust you. It's impossible to do. And so, it's just a difficult thing. The other thing that Doug asked about, I think is fairly interesting. And it's a question that we don't exactly have the answer to. Who is a player like not Trey Taylor in particular, but is a player like Trey Taylor getting paid anything now?
Some guys can be, yeah.
So they can enter into rev share contracts August 1st of going into their senior year of football. So Nebraska will likely put a contract in front of Trey Taylor's face on August 1st and say, they haven't signed to play football at the university yet. That wouldn't be until December, but they could sign it's basically like a deposit.
More or less.
I mean, both literally and figuratively. It's kind of like a deposit and say, all right, there's going to be X amount that comes out of Nebraska. Now, this is only from a rev share perspective. This does not count any under the table NIL that we talk about, teams having $40 million rosters and stuff like that. We're dealing with the $22 million or whatever it's going to be that is athletic department wide for this upcoming school year. I don't know if we exactly know what that number is going to be yet, but in that range. And so if Nebraska has a plan as to what they're going to, who they're going to offer into the rev share agreements, which is money that actually comes from the university. And if Trey Taylor is one of those people, then they can do that starting in a couple months, which is an added wrinkle to a variety of different things. First and foremost, your ability to actually retain the commitment of the player.
Right.
And it halfway answers Doug's question,
right?
Except for the whole right now part. I don't know.
The other really issue being how much of that rev share that's earmarked to football has already been earmarked to other players. What's actually available to be utilized. Now there are things where, again, because of the way some states are structured with how they've classified things and what their state legislatures have done. Like Nebraska has been able to use NIL funds to pay to get people to visit, to get them to campus, to come to Lincoln, to, that sorts of thing. So that still kind of counts to this idea. It's not the same thing as getting just straight money for appearing or whatever. But you can have those costs taken care of so that you and your family can come visit in a way that's not even an official visit, but it sort of acts like that.
There is a lot of loopholes.
Yeah, no, I mean,
there is a lot of loopholes that exist. That's
right.
all.
That's why it's really hard to imagine things like the CSC having a ton of success when there feels like there's a workaround for almost everything.
There's a workaround for just about everything. Before we get to the headlines here, quick shout out. It's not Friday, but we're still doing shout outs to, yes, another shout out to Jordy Fromm, 2-time NFCA Player of the Year, 4-time first team All-American. Jordy Fromm, who just wrapped up her playing career, will join the Nebraska softball staff as an assistant coach. So she will now be on Rhonda Ravel's staff. Of course, there was a spot that was opened up by the retirement of Lori Sipple early last week, who had been on staff forever, basically. And Jordy Fromm immediately goes to begin her coaching career. She is quoted in a release, "I am beyond excited to join the Nebraska softball coaching staff. Playing softball for the Huskers was an incredible blessing to me. The coaches have had a huge impact on me and the athlete, as an athlete and as a person. I'm ready to have that impact on others, to continue to grow the game in my home state. I'm honored by the trust that Coach Ravel has given and has in me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to work alongside her and the rest of the staff in a new role. I'm so thankful that God led me here and granted me this new blessing. Go Big Red." Okay, so first thing I thought of, I don't know about you, I don't know where your mind went to first, Schaefer. We have a minute or two on this. Is she the next softball head coach?
It feels like that's kind of where we're setting this thing up.
All right. Just making sure. I'm just making sure somebody else thought that.
Yeah. That was my first thought when everything sort of went down.
I don't know how, Rhonda Ravel seems honestly very youthful in her energy, but we've talked about the idea that she could retire.
It was like a couple year window of prepping her for it. I mean, it felt the same way when Jordan Burroughs got involved with wrestling, and you're just setting up your stable for your next head coach. So that's kind of how it felt with this too.
Pretty cool. And she's always been good about, giving back and being out in the community and stuff like that. So I'm sure she will excel in this role. Obviously a tremendous leader. So pretty cool opportunity for now Coach Fromm. But first things first, have a child and then coach softball. Step 1, have a child. Step 2, coach softball.
Kid is due in December.
I believe that's right.
Said.
Yeah.
So she'd have a couple months before the season starts in February.
It's perfect timing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's
any time to have a child is perfect time.
Yes. But if you have a particularly demanding job,
getting it
nothing
is
perfect timing. Yeah. Just ask Danny Busby Kelly,
No kidding.
All right. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with the headlines right after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, just past 7:45 on a Monday. Happer and Schaefer with you on 1620 The Zone. 1620thezone.com, the Zone Radio Network. Hopefully you are ready to roll for the College World Series because it's coming whether you like it or not. The country roads are going to take us home. But before we do that, we have to do the headlines. Joey, what do we got?
All right, headline number 1. A pursuit implies speed. Florida motorcyclist very slowly flees from deputy.
Okay. I like where we're headed there.
Yep.
Slow pursuit is interesting to me.
Slow speed chase.
Yeah, that's good.
Headline number 2. Streamer catches girlfriend cheating with her cousin thanks to camera on cat's litter box.
Kind of self-explanatory, right?
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I mean, yes. There's questions, but not enough that we need to do it.
Let's go to Flagler County, Florida, just outside of, or maybe in Orlando. A Central Florida man was taken into custody after a very slow chase. But the question, of course, that we have is how slow? In a release, investigators said the incident happened around 2:23 a.m. on Friday morning when a deputy noticed a blue motorcycle with no lights or license plate. Quote, well, she didn't exactly spot it first, the release reads. She heard its unmuffled backfiring well before she saw it. According to the sheriff's office, it was a rusty parts bike with what sounded like a weed eater motor attached, which deputies jokingly dubbed Blow By Betty. Deputies tried to pull the driver over, but instead he tried to drive away very slowly, according to dash camera footage released by the sheriff's office. Quote, let's be clear. What followed was not a pursuit. A pursuit implies speed. This was more of a guided neighborhood tour, topping out at a brisk 40 miles per hour before settling into a relaxed 15 miles per hour through Hidden Trails Park as his sputtering steed begged for mercy. This is once again a bike equipped with a weed eater mower. Eventually, the driver, identified as Brian Swartz, 33, of Bunnell, toppled over, pinning Swartz's chin to the ground. Well, he fell over himself. Wow. He was subsequently arrested and now faces charges of fleeing and operating without a driver's license. Following his arrest, he was released on bail. I mean, I don't see any inclusion of this, but is it fair to assume there's drugs involved in this? I mean, we're talking.
There's nothing about it under influence here. I was looking at that too.
We hit all the bullet points, though. We hit Florida, man. We hit 2:30 in the morning on Friday morning, just a weird, odd time. We hit bike equipped with a weed eater mower, slow speed chase,
jokey tone press release.
Yeah, there's everything. Everything would imply there was drugs involved here. Although there were no drug charges. The vehicle, Blow By Betty, was seized and towed to impound, where she could finally get some rest. The takeaway, fleeing from law enforcement is a dangerous, deadly, and terrible idea at any speed. Don't attempt the impossible, especially on a motorcycle that could be outrun by a brisk jog. Deputies also noted, by the way, that Swartz, the man who was riding the bicycle, had been arrested 16 times since 2016 over charges that included street racing, credit card fraud, failure to register a motor vehicle, fleeing or attempting to elude law enforcement previously, grand theft of a motor vehicle, and more. And he has reportedly served several sentences in state prison. The list of things this guy has been arrested for goes on longer than a CVS receipt. Sheriff Rick Staley said, sadly, it seems the Green Roof Inn has become a second home for him.
Okay, well,
40 miles an hour, honestly.
I watched the video. That was hilarious.
If you're telling me that it was a slow speed chase, honestly, 40 miles per hour is a little higher than of a top speed than I figured we were going for.
Yeah, but I don't know that he sustained 40 miles per hour for long.
It doesn't seem like
it. Seems like it got up to that and then immediately down to 15 for the duration of the chase.
Texter writes in, Texter John, does Scott Frost own a motorcycle?
He was not mentioned in this story.
Do you think Scott Frost has like a...
Is he heading back from Golden Tee?
Interesting.
Could be.
He's probably got that at his house, I would assume.
I don't think he'd be a motorcycle person.
No, he doesn't seem like a motorcycle. Maybe like a moped.
Who? Okay, so
This guy seems like a moped guy.
maybe.
I want to say maybe on that one
Do
too.
you think if he goes over to Europe or if he's on Key West, he's got mopeds or something along
A
those
Vespa.
lines? A Vespa, a
A
scooter.
Vespa.
Of Nebraska's coaches, who seems most likely to have had a motorcycle?
Wow, what a question.
It wouldn't have been Frank or Tom.
No.
They don't strike me as motorcycle people.
No.
I don't think Bill Callahan does either.
I mean, Riley was big on the bike, like the bicycle.
Maybe an electric bike for Mike Riley.
It would be, or one of those. He might have been all over those e-scooters if he was here during the e-scooter time.
The fact that we don't have like an e-scooter coach injury as part of the Nebraska horrifying series of stories for a decade.
Yeah.
Kind of surprising.
Yeah. City bikes. I bet there's been some coaches. Does Lincoln have the city bikes?
I don't think Lincoln has the city bikes.
Okay. Omaha's got a few of them floating around.
No, I don't. Lincoln barely had the scooters, and then they were restricted in most areas.
Good call by them.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't. That was one of those things that when it popped up, I remember using them in Arizona for spring training trips. And they were convenient, but it's this just seems like it's going to lead to a lot of issues.
If you stay out a little bit too long in Omaha this week during the College World Series, maybe you will, maybe you won't. You might see the vans come by and pick up the scooters and then put out new scooters and charge the old ones. And
what a job.
That whole thing. It is. It's quite the job. It almost feels like a heist, to be honest with you. You just drive around in a little van, you pick up all the scooters, and then you put new scooters.
Is the van marked at least?
I don't know. People tell me about this, that they just come by with a van, and I didn't ask.
Happen. I've never seen this happen.
I haven't either. I failed to ask whether the van is marked or not.
I watched someone put a scooter in the back of their truck and drive away once, which seemed odd to me because it seems like there'd be a tracker in the scooter.
And they weren't working for the scooter company?
It didn't seem like they were, but I didn't really know. I didn't ask.
Nobody writes in. The scooters were awesome in Denver. They're all set for 25 miles an hour. Dude, the scooters in Denver are a nightmare. Everyone is scootering in downtown Denver. Yeah.
16th Street Mall overtaken by scooters.
Seriously. They need to just close the roads. You should probably not be able to drive in downtown, drive a car in downtown Denver.
Yeah.
Because of how many scooters and walkers there are. It's just a problem.
I haven't driven in Denver in a while.
Michael Severe says Solich. He's the motorcycle guy.
Really?
I didn't know about this.
I wouldn't have guessed.
I did not hear about this. Dana, have you heard or seen or heard about this?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay. All right. That'll do it for the 7:00 hour. Appreciate the headlines from Joey, as always. By the way, Kent writes in on Twitter. Most of the scooter guys are independent contractors. So maybe they are unmarked vans. They come by and pick them up in. 8:00 hour is coming up. We have plenty of guests coming up. Stay tuned. Tim Verghese will join us to talk about some recruiting. We have plenty to come here on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, folks, the World Cup is this week as well. We don't spend a whole lot of time talking about the World Cup, but it is World Cup week. Thursday, there's a pair of Group A matches in Mexico. They will get started in the U.S. on Friday at Los Angeles Stadium, which I believe is SoFi, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's SoFi.
USA and Paraguay. Did you see the fun stat that came out over the weekend where the friendlies are starting up? Argentina, who is stationed in Kansas City, they went off to Kyle Field this weekend to play a friendly.
Oh yeah, I remember
in College
this.
Station. So now the Argentinian soccer team has now played a game at Kyle Field before Georgia.
Look at that.
It's now maybe Georgia played a game at Kyle Field, but not since they joined the SEC together in 2012.
Yeah.
Georgia has still not made a trip to Texas A&M. Once again, Texas A&M has been in the SEC for nearly 15 years. Yeah, that's how dumb the giant conferences
That's just Kirby Smart and Georgia clearly figuring out how to duck Kyle Field.
There was like a whole list. It was like the Argentine soccer team, the Savannah Bananas, like all these different entities have played games at Kyle Field before the Georgia Bulldogs, who are in the same conference.
That's a really good bit,
which is pretty fantastic. So yeah, there you go. World Cup this week. I was in Kansas City over the weekend. They're getting good and fired up down there. The first game in Kansas City at Kansas City Stadium will be next Tuesday.
Yep.
This
Argentina
and Algeria.
A bit of an emerging story out of Los Angeles where several thousand SoFi workers have gone on strike days before the big event that is coming here with the World Cup.
Oh no.
Yeah, they're gonna have to figure that one out.
Like, what kind of workers? Like the yellow coats,
concessions, and the facilities and things of that nature.
All of the things that I've heard just on the peripheral of this event have been not good.
It seems like there could be some problems.
And of course the world doesn't like it when the U.S. hosts the world's game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So there's that part of it too. There will be stuff that will look very bad there will be things that happen at this tournament that will look very bad for the United States of America.
Like the Knicks winning the NBA finals.
Definitely.
I just mean like, as far as their standing with the beautiful game,
Well, yeah.
I don't think there are folks around the world who are so welcoming of the United States becoming a world power in soccer.
I am looking forward to some sort of like whoever wins it, you get your final four teams, and then there's just conversations about what the pitch surfaces have been like.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like nobody fart sniffs at a higher level than soccer people about just how, everything has to be pristine and perfect. And of course, nothing in the United States will rise to that level. And then we'll all rally in our dissent of these people. It's going to be great.
It is going to be really funny.
Pull the country together right around the 4th of July.
Yeah. So I was going to say, like, I almost want it to be a little bit of a disaster.
Yeah, no,
just so that people can be like, American disaster. I'm like, yeah, that's right.
America just rolls back in. They double down on their disaster.
Yeah.
The pride swells. People are waving the flags everywhere. No, it'll be great.
Team USA will play their first game this Friday in LA, and then we'll have their second game against Australia in Seattle next Friday, the 19th. And then their third group game the Thursday after that, back in Los Angeles against Berke Büyükangel's Turkey.
Okay.
I suppose there are other people from Turkey too, other than Berke Büyükangel, but that's the first one that came to my head.
He's the most famous Turkish person with Nebraska ties.
I think so too.
I would think.
So over the weekend we had the college baseball super regionals nearly wrap up. There's a couple additional finishes of games today. I don't feel like we're going to get another game that starts because Kansas and Oklahoma that series is the way it is right now with Oklahoma leading. going into the later stages of that one, and Alabama leading in the very late stages with a 1-0 series lead against St. John's. I saw this tweet last night. This is pretty decent rage bait, by the way, from at Reddit CFB. The Big Ten will once again not send a representative to the College World Series. The only Big Ten teams in the last decade were Michigan in 2019 and UCLA last year. The Western editions have certainly helped, but the Big Ten is effectively a mid-major in baseball, which, like, the irony of it is that it's the college football account tweeting this out. Nobody expects the Big Ten to be a powerhouse in baseball.
Right.
There is an effective mid-major-ish.
There's only 3 powerhouse conferences in baseball, and the ACC had 9 teams make the tournament. 1 made it super regional, and 1 made the CWS.
1.
The Big 12 has 1 that will make the CWS, and the Sun Belt will have a team make it.
Yep,
that's it. That's all the teams. Like, so, I mean, it's a difference of 1, 0, or 5.
Right.
I guess, like, I don't know. It's attempting to rage bait, but it's also just kind of like, well, this is true for everyone that isn't one specific conference at the moment.
Exactly. I mean, nobody expected. Now, the UCLA thing is a bummer.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a bummer for UCLA. Like, once again, it's not like, the Big Ten needed UCLA to go far because they were the banner holder, like, for the conference. People do that stuff and all those different things. The Big Ten is the Big Ten, and
I think it still would be okay with how the year it went for the Big Ten in general.
It would have been fun. Like, I think that it would have been a hilarious exclamation point on the entire athletic season in general, given, like what you said, Michigan winning the national championship in basketball and Indiana winning the national championship in football. And you get there and you're like, all right, finally reprieve from all this Big Ten honking. It's baseball season. And there's UCLA, the number 1 team in the country, who's lost like 6 times the entire year.
I thought it was going to be USC. Like, I thought they were going to be the Big Ten team that actually, like, did it for them.
But the only times now, it's different now with the West Coast teams in. So if you take last year's appearance by UCLA out, the only times Big Ten teams have made the College World Series over the last quarter century are, crazy underdog stories with Michigan and Indiana. Indiana was obviously a very, very good team. They they should have gotten back the next year and were good enough to get back, but didn't, because that's the way that baseball works.
It's really hard to get to the College World Series.
It's hard to win baseball games. And so I just thought it was funny and pretty decent rage bait by at Reddit CFB last night to be like, well, look at the Big Ten, just a mid-major in baseball.
So I'm thinking about it. Georgia's first time since 2008.
Correct.
Did I see Alabama first time since 99?
99.
So like and Texas hadn't been here for the last couple years, so it'd been a little bit of a drought for them.
Yep.
Ole Miss returning for the first time since 22.
22, and they won it.
So, and it speaks to what you had talked about very early on in the show, where this field.
Oklahoma since 22 as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Because Oklahoma and Ole Miss played the final.
Yeah, I thought Oklahoma was going to be the most recent of the SEC schools. It'd be Oklahoma and Ole Miss combined. Or is it Texas? Were they here in 23?
Texas.
Or did they win it in 23?
Texas with David Pierce was 22, I think. So maybe all 3 of those were 22.
All right.
And then the whole Schloss.
Yeah, because they haven't
happened.
made it for the last 3 years. So 23, 24, 25. It hasn't been Texas. So that's again, it just also shows you like how difficult, even for the teams in that best of that conference. Alabama hasn't been back since 99.
Yep.
So tough sport.
Speaking of things that are coming to Omaha, I saw this over the weekend. I've just been made aware of this bit for the very first time. Have you seen the Twitter account?
Is this your bit of the weekend?
Yeah, this is my bit of the weekend.
This
is my bit of the weekend.
That could be a thing if you'd like to do that every week.
I just, you never know when a good bit is really going to come across.
I think you just need to call it out when it happens. It doesn't need to be a thing.
So we just drop it in whenever I feel like it rises to the occasion.
Like this, yeah.
And this absolutely does. Have you seen the Twitter account of North Carolina Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham?
No.
Former committee chair of the NCAA basketball selection committee, right? He spoke on that behalf, I believe it was a couple years ago. in charge of some decent NCAA tournament basketball fields. So I just came aware of this bit this weekend because I saw this picture of him taking a selfie with the North Carolina baseball team as they won their super regional this weekend. And I'll put this up on the stream if you guys are interested in seeing what I'm talking about here. So here, as we get the spinning bar, here is the selfie that Bubba Cunningham took. I was like, oh, this is funny. This is like an old guy, and he took a picture of his forehead, and he missed his own face. Knee slapper. Nice job by you, Bubba. Well, it turns out that this is a bit that he does literally every time he takes a picture of himself. If you just scroll down his Twitter account and go to like the media,
it's pretty great.
It's just nonstop pictures of his forehead with other things in the background. It is a great scroll. If anybody is interested, this is just tremendous stuff.
November 21st, good day for some field hockey. Just his head.
It's just the top of his head.
That's amazing.
Stuff in the background. It's an incredible bit.
Look, do you think people stop and they get photos, but they only want it so they get the top of his head and they get to be behind it?
Okay, if I see him, you
have to do this.
Yeah.
You have to do this.
But would it be my forehead or would it be his forehead?
What if you did a joint photo with him and it's both of
our
your
foreheads
with the chuck box behind you?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
If I see Bubba Cunningham, I will do this.
Excellent.
It's a great bit.
I want to know. You need to find out more. Now, I just asked you earlier in the show if we were going to try to get some CWS specific people. Now I want Bubba Cunningham on the show.
Let's get him.
Let's get Bubba Cunningham on the show. How do we make this happen?
I don't know. We just hit somebody up. Yeah.
All right. We're doing it.
They're going to be here. Gus Mohawk writes in, hey, I'm new to the show. Could you explain what a honk/honking is?
Connor during Big East basketball. Connor, because Jalen Brunson plays for the Knicks.
Jalen Brunson.
Finals will be in Madison Square Garden.
Mike Schaefer, anything good happening to Nebraska?
Not quite to that.
Or
level.
Minnesota Vikings.
I thought that's where you were going to go, and I was like, okay, that's accurate with the Vikings.
Jalen Brunson.
Soon to be Jason Green.
Other examples?
I like Jalen Brunson, not because specifically he went to Villanova, but because I like watching that dude play basketball. He's hooping.
Sure.
He's a
he
killer.
shot 33% in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I don't care.
He's been struggling.
Hey, well, no, he hasn't been. What is he? No.
He hasn't been efficient.
I don't care about efficiency. Have you watched the last minute of these games? He's incredible.
Caleb Williams of the NBA just doesn't show up until the last.
Joey's like sports trolling when it's a team that he doesn't like and it's going well.
Jalen Brunson's been struggling lately.
They're up 2-0.
I think
in no short part.
I want Cat to get more credit for defending the so-called new face of the NBA.
Cat has been very good.
He's been surprisingly great in this NBA Finals.
Very good. But yeah, that's kind of what honking is.
I think those are fair examples.
It's the
SEC fans of like schools that aren't the good ones that chant SEC and all of the stuff that they do.
That's some good honking. Yeah. What's another example of some really good honking that we've seen?
I don't know.
Who honks for what?
I'm trying not to offend any specific people besides you.
Well, I mean,
you're a good sport.
We gotta call the people out if they're honking too much.
It's okay to call.
There are some people who are fans of their teams, but they're not specifically honks for their teams. Which there's an interesting sort of dichotomy with this thing because, I know a lot of people who are Nebraska fans, but they almost revel in the idea that they suck, and they're like, "Please tell me I suck more." And I love
Husker
this.
Homer needs to be Husker Honker.
Well, Husker honk. That's not honking though. That's just like a weird version of being a fan that I don't necessarily understand. Like a honk is a different thing. A honk, you can't tell a honk that something is going wrong. Like if Nebraska lost again, it'd be like, yeah, it's a good thing in the long run. They needed to lose that
honk
game.
Wanted Nebraska to lose during its 20-game win streak to get the loss out of the way.
Whatever result happens, they spin it forward as being a good thing. That's what a honk does.
Yeah.
Big East baseball, making the super regionals, they're going to get blown out in 2 games, but I don't care. We made it.
For me, the honking is almost always sort of like mindless support for a larger entity.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this answers your question, Gus Mohawk, and I think it does relatively well.
Honk, honk.
Honk, honk, indeed.
Honk, honk.
Plenty more. That was a pretty good impression of yourself, by the way.
I mean, just wait till I drop a hooray again.
I gotta find that.
Yeah, that's right. We got to go back because Schaefer.
I don't know how to not do a sarcastic hooray.
So we did this with on the Happer show with Josh Odson when he would say that things are good, and he would say things are good, and then after a while he didn't know how to non-sarcastically say the word good anymore.
And the thing is, I wasn't even trying to sarcastically say hooray, but then when I heard it back and I said it, I was like, oh no.
Hooray.
Hooray.
It's impossible.
I don't know how to do it.
It is actually impossible. All right, Tim Verghese is going to join us next. We want to spread out a little bit with Tim because we have some recruiting to talk about, that's for sure. Don't forget, Marty Cordero is going to join us in about 25 minutes as well. Stay tuned. More to come on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, we welcome you back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. One, if not the biggest story of the weekend, well, it's somewhere in the recruiting world, and that's why we have Tim Verghese on the show every week to tell us what exactly we're looking at here as he joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Morning, Tim. What's up?
Morning. How we doing? Anything happen this weekend?
A little bit of everything. That's where I was going to start with you. Of the stories, of the things, is there one that stands out? Is there one that
rank the biggest stories from the weekend?
That would have to. There's like unlimited stories. What's the top headline of the weekend?
Yeah, so I think the top headline, I think has to be just the success of the weekend. Nebraska in total got 15 official visitors to town. This resulted in 5 commitments over the weekend. Nebraska is training for more. We've got, 4-star cornerback Jalen Hill set to announce his commitment tomorrow. 4-star defensive lineman Nehemiah Umbadi scheduled to announce his commitment on Wednesday. I have predictions in for both. The 5 commitments over the weekend, it's 4-star cornerback Bryce Williams out of South Florida. Nebraska's been trending well in that one for a while, but they beat out 50 other programs to land him. That recruitment never really slowed down this offseason, even though Nebraska jumped out as the leader back in January. Errol DeMontagnac, I think, is the biggest, at this point, probably the biggest sleeper in Nebraska's class. He's 6'3", 290 pounds. As a junior, had 87 tackles, 30 tackles for loss, and 14 sacks. Just unbelievable production for an interior defensive lineman. And now noted at the high school level, he doesn't kind of line up all over the front. That production comes from all over. But you look at the body type, you look at where he's going to be best at the next level. He's an interior defensive line target out all the way. Nebraska added 2 more commitments from the powerhouse program, Loganville Grayson out in Georgia, and 3-star linebacker Eli Harris, and 3-star tight end Joey Hunter. 2 key positions of need for Nebraska here this cycle. They wanted to add just a kind of a true well-rounded center as they take their shot at 5-star Ahmad Hudson. They wanted to get someone in there who brings a high floor as a blocker and has some upside as a pass catcher. That's Hunter at 6'6", 255 pounds. Harris is a versatile linebacker. I think he could fit a few different roles in this defense. You've seen Nebraska kind of pursue this. One, they've been active in the linebacker market, but 2, they've also been active in this big nickel market. This versatile player within Rob Borges' defense that in certain packages would be your essentially third linebacker that roams within the box and that nickel position as well. He can that big nickel is expected to do a few different things. He can rush the passer, he can drop into coverage, but most importantly, he can defend the run at a high level. Harris at 5, just around 6 foot, 198 pounds, can do a little bit of everything. I thought his high school tape is very productive. Pleasantly surprised. I think he punches above his weight as a run defender, as an edge setter. But he does a good job of, I think, coming downhill, winning, and getting to the backfield consistently. So Nebraska's got a linebacker commitment now. That's something they've been pursuing. So that, I think, the success of the weekend overall, I think, is story number 1. And I think story number 2 would probably have to be the surprise visitors that were in town this weekend.
Yep.
So yeah, let's go right into the surprise visitors. Happer and I talked about Ahmad Hudson for a little bit. You've been pretty consistent with saying, hooray, that he's going to be someone Nebraska was going to pursue until the very end. What was your level of surprise he actually made it to Lincoln for this visit? And then what is the biggest takeaway from that?
Yeah, I mean, going into the weekend, Nebraska had been kind of teasing they had something big in the works, and it had been something they'd been lining up for a few days. The actual timeline ended up working out because he'd been in these Team USA mini camps, workouts, and then he missed the cut for the final team. That opened up a weekend for him, and Nebraska kind of worked fast to get him into town and have him spend some time on campus. And yeah, I mean, he got pretty much 2 full days on campus, spent a lot of time around the football staff, spent a full day or a good day around the basketball staff pretty much. And that was an important key visit for him. Football communication had never really slowed down. Even after his commitment, before his commitment prior to LSU, communication with the football staff had remained pretty consistent. In fact, Director of Player Personnel Keith Williams was in Ruston late last month for Ruston spring game. And so they've stayed in pursuit of the 5-star. The basketball communication, like I said, did drop off a little bit just right before that LSU commitment and right after that. So it was a bit of a different meeting. But the conversation, I think there was, no love lost truly in like a non-ironic way or anything like that. Like there was truly like, I think a lot of positive feelings. It's given him a lot to think about. Now that said, he's heading to LSU later this month for his official visit. This is something where, it's not necessarily about pulling it off right now. It's not necessarily about pulling it off, even this summer necessarily. But Nebraska wants to stay in the mix. They're going to try and get him back to campus for probably a visit in the fall as well, get him back to a game. They continue to impress the family. They continue to impress Hudson. I think the plan they've laid out for him on both sides, and I've stated this even after his commitment to LSU, the plan they've laid out for him and in developing him as both a football player and a basketball player is the most comprehensive plan anyone's laid out in his recruitment. I think it's the most detailed plan as well. Nebraska, at least on paper, has this thing lined up exactly how they want this thing to play out. And, Hudson's pretty open to that. Now, we'll have to see, obviously. It's going to be, like I said, it's always going to be a long shot to pull someone away from LSU. LSU did sign him to a deal last month that is, pretty sizable. But I'll say this, and I put this on the board this weekend just from what I gathered of the weekend. Nebraska's going to pull this off. It's not going to be because they come out and outbid LSU. I don't think that's going to be possible in this recruitment. That said, that's not how Nebraska's going to win this anyway. Like, that's not how, Nebraska's not going to win this outbidding them. If Nebraska's going to pull off this flip, it's going to be because of the relationships he's established, not just with the player, not just with the coaching staff, but with some of the players on the roster. He spent the weekend with Ja'Cory Barney and Quasi Gilmer, developed that relationship. He's close with a lot of these commits. Trey Taylor, Tay Ellis and him have gotten very close since Ellis committed. He's developed relationships with some of the offensive linemen that committed. Him and Albert Simeon, the 5-star interior offensive lineman, also out of Louisiana, were on campus at the same time. Nebraska's pushing for both. Both of those families have gotten very close across this recruitment. Both of them actually made the first 2 visits to Nebraska. These 2 made were together. They didn't travel up together, but they were on campus together. So there's a lot of established comfort with commits, with targets, with players, and that relationship with Trey Taylor in particular. No quarterback in the country has a relationship with Ahmad Hudson that Trey Taylor does. If Nebraska's going to pull it off, it's going to be because of relationships, not because of NIL. And again, the thing I heard coming out from Sunday was that LSU's not taking Nebraska seriously enough as a threat. That's been the story of this entire recruitment. And on a national level, I don't think Nebraska gets taken seriously enough in this recruitment. We'll see. Again, it's going to be one of those things where they're going to have to play this out through the fall, but they're taking their best shot at this one. And the other surprise visitor, again, not as big of a headline grabber, but still very, very important, was Kobe Rhymes, the 3-star linebacker who just committed to Missouri last week after an official visit with the Tigers. He'd stated kind of all week, him and people around him had stated all week that, OVs have been delayed or even canceled coming out of that visit, or coming out of that commitment. And he still was before that commitment was expected to be in Lincoln this weekend. And then despite obviously, making that commitment last week, he did pop up in Lincoln this weekend, spent a few days on campus. We were at camp yesterday. OVs had wrapped up by the time we were at camp yesterday. And Kobe was just out there hanging around, supporting some fellow Casey area guys that were competing at the camp. He develops a lot of comfort at Nebraska. Nebraska's given him a lot to think about. He's someone who's always handled his recruitment a bit, in a unique fashion. But I'll say this as well. Seeing him again yesterday, I saw him in the fall. He's grown. He is more physical. I had multiple people kind of come up to me and ask me who that was. Not staffers on Nebraska, not Nebraska staffers, just like parents and other coaches from other schools that were there. Just because he is such an impressive looking player. He's listed at 6'1", 225. I bet right now he's on the north side of 6'1" right now. Just getting around him. I'd also bet he's closer to 240 to 225 at this point. He's a true kind of alpha inside linebacker prospect. A true, he's the guy you put on you put the green dot on, and so he's someone Nebraska would love to have. I think he doesn't exactly fit maybe what Orich is looking for from a height and a size standpoint, But he has all the traits Nebraska is looking for, all the traits most programs are looking for at the linebacker position. They'd love to flip him away. I think they've got a good shot at doing it. We'll just have to see kind of how they work this, because again, he could still make visits. Missouri ideally wanted the last visit. Nebraska was very happy to get the visit after Missouri because they felt they wanted the last word in this recruitment. We'll see if any other programs get a word in. But I do think this is going to end up coming down to Nebraska and Missouri. And he's got a decision. He drove home last night, and he's got a decision to make here over these next few days.
Hey, Tim, there's not like a hard answer to this, I'm sure, but just because it's such an individual case-by-case basis when we're talking about recruiting, but where does Nebraska stand right now as far as the pecking order of schools that are actively recruiting the state of Georgia? Like how much, as the kids would say, how much motion does Nebraska have in Georgia right now?
I'd say it's growing, definitely a growing presence. I'd say the work they're doing in Grayson this cycle, it's obviously having an impact this cycle. You have 4 commissioners from one high school, 4 guys you feel good about, 2 in particular you see as potential instant impact starters. You have Corey Hadley from Sandy Creek as well. Timmy Liu from Georgia. They're doing a good job, but I would say that the pipeline they're starting to build in Grayson, that could be very real for them. Because it's not the thing about building pipelines to schools. Like I remember, it's kind of, infamously talked about around here, the Edna Carr trio,
Yep.
From back in the day. The thing about when you're starting to build a pipeline, it's about who specifically you land. And you talk to guys around Grayson, even the other guys that have committed since. Jordan Agbanoma is something of a, I wouldn't say a legend, but like for a program that produces Power 4 talent consistently, they talk about him differently around there. And they do the same thing about KD, and so it's like you've landed two starters that hold a lot of respect in that locker room, and 2 guys who, spurned Georgia. I mean, specifically Agbanoma in particular spurned Georgia to be at Nebraska, and so you have now all of these underclassmen at this power program. Now giving Nebraska a bit of a harder look, but I think across the state they're doing a phenomenal job. It starts with I would say Addison Williams, the relationships he has out there. He's an Atlanta native. Has a lot of strong relationships out there. Jeep Wade, of course, from his time at Georgia Tech, has established some really good relationships, and I think has Nebraska in position. Both of those guys have Nebraska in position to grow their presence in the state of Georgia. I would say the greater Atlanta region in particular. But they are working in there for sure. I would say if you want to put them in the pecking order, they are probably. Illinois was trying to work in there for a bit. And Illinois, there was like Timmy Liu, for example. Nebraska ran into Illinois in that recruitment. Illinois trying to work in there. I would say right now, unless I'm straight up forgetting a program, I kind of think Nebraska is the most active Big Ten program in the state of Georgia right now. Like obviously Ohio State and some of these power programs spot recruit the best talent out there. But in terms of having a true presence in the state, no one has a bigger presence in the Big Ten right now than Nebraska, at least off the top of my head.
Hey, real quickly, Caden Howard flips to Georgia Tech. Nebraska has Matthew Gregory on campus. Isaiah Alvarez, another one set to visit. And then Khalil Taylor looks like he's trending somewhere else. Do you think you have kind of the sort of clear picture now at wide receiver for Nebraska?
Yeah, somewhat. With Howard, it was it was kind of a mutual thing. I think both sides kind of realized. Nebraska was trending well for Matthew Gregory coming out of this weekend. And Howard had a good visit to Georgia Tech, might be a better fit for him. And so Nebraska, closing in on Gregory, I think a more well-rounded receiver, someone who Nebraska wanted a speed threat, but and Howard's a guy who can do some things out of the slot, but is primarily just a speed guy. But then you look at Matthew Gregory's tape. He's more of a, he can win the ball deep. He can go up and get it. At 6 foot, 170, plays bigger than his frame. Has some I think truly elite body control at the catch point. And does a good job. I think like I said, playing bigger than his frame and bringing in tough catches. You have Isaiah Alvarez visiting next week. I think Nebraska's going to make a push there, try and get over the top while he's on campus or shortly after on campus. And then with Taylor, he's a player they'd still love to have and someone they're still pushing for. That's going to be one to keep an eye on this week. Coming out of he took the OV to Penn State last weekend. That's been seen as the toughest contender in that recruitment. He was once committed to Penn State. He's visited that program like 17 plus times across this recruitment now, and so that's a program he's most comfortable with. He had a very strong official visit there. There have been some reports that he's now considering shutting or canceling his remaining official visits. I've not been able to confirm that, but our Steve Wilfong does now have a prediction in favor of Penn State to land his commitment again. Look, Nebraska made a surge in that recruitment, made a strong push in last month in the weeks leading up to his OVs. They'd love to get him to campus next week and just get him to campus and see how it goes. Just give Nebraska a shot. So I'd expect Nebraska to still fight to get Taylor to campus this weekend. But they're more than happy if it ends up being a wide receiver class of Matthew Gregory, Isaiah Alvarez, and Tay Ellis, who's already committed. If that's the trio that Nebraska gets committed at the wide receiver position, and you complement that with Joey Hunter and potentially another tight end in there, I think Nebraska is more than happy with that group. I think all three of those guys can do something, do a little different, can work inside, can work outside. They all kind of look similar, all three, but they all win differently. I think Gregory's a true speed guy. Alvarez is more of I would say more of a, he's a route technician and can do some yak stuff. And then Taze is kind of just truly, he just knows how to get open. He's just got a knack for getting open. He's a very sound receiver. But he's a little thicker than the other two. He can work out of the slot. He can take some hits compared to the other two. Taylor's the one that looks a little bit different. He's a bit bigger, a bit thicker. And one of those guys that I think can kind of be a true wide receiver one and kind of do some, then take some steps out of the backfield, manufacture touches, things like that. I think Taylor's got the highest upside of all of these guys, but Nebraska more than happy to get however it works out. They'd love three of these four guys.
That's the latest from Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. Tim, appreciate it as always, man. Great stuff. We'll talk to you later.
Appreciate you guys.
Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. He has 400 bylines up right now on Inside Nebraska.
Ooh, byline.
400 times. It just says Tim Verghese. And it's all from the last 3 days.
Yeah.
So
he's been busy.
So check it out. All right, we'll take a break. Marty Cordero will join us on the other side. The Storm Chasers are home this week against Las Vegas. We'll check in with President C coming up on 1620 The Zone. Everybody's got baseball fever. Doesn't matter what kind of baseball do you like. Do you like Major League Baseball? Do you like college baseball? You like minor league baseball? You like cosmic baseball? You like banana ball? You like all sorts of things. Marty Cordero, ladies and gentlemen, is here for baseball. The president of the Omaha Storm Chasers joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Good morning, Marty. How are you? Joey, I don't hear him. I hear him somewhere. What's going on?
I don't know what's going on.
Is he on the?
Did you press the wrong button on the phone?
I don't think so. Marty? Because I feel like he can hear us, but we can't. That's on the right line, right, Joey?
Yeah, should be. Yeah.
All right. I give him a call back and see what happens. We'll get. That was a great intro by me too.
Dude, really well done. And then you threw it to him, and then I was like, "Man, my volume is really low."
I felt
there
like
was
I
like a muffled little noise.
Yeah,
and
okay.
then nothing.
Now I'm second guessing myself if I pressed the right button or not.
For what?
To put him up. Because there's like a button. Yeah, people probably don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Well, it was green. That usually means that it would be
green means go, right?
Green is live.
I always
as far as
thought
I've ever understood it, not that I'm any veteran of working here.
But
and I once tried to drop a call by turning my microphone.
Joey, put him up. You put him up this time because I maybe did because I put him on the top.
Oh, I can hear you.
Because the color was orange, Connor, on the phone line.
I can hear you.
This is a good thing, Marty. We can hear you too. I think I pressed the wrong button. This one's on me.
I don't know what happened.
Look, I heard that world-class intro.
Thank you.
And then I said, it's just baseball week, and that's not a bad thing, right, guys?
It is just baseball.
Never a
week.
bad thing.
So I think we've talked about this before in the past. Do the Storm Chasers do you want the Storm Chasers as the president of the Storm Chasers? Do you want them to be home during the College World Series or not?
Yes, but I can't answer if I want to be home head-to-head opening weekend. This is a first.
Right.
And then you throw on the aforementioned bananas. Then you throw into the fact that it is FIFA World Cup starts on Thursday. What a sports week. And then you have the NBA Finals, Game 3 tonight. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot happening, and it is awesome for the sports world, and more importantly, it's great for the Omaha metro area.
I will add that we have plenty of reasons to visit the ballpark this week, including but not limited to distracting Matt McMaster when he's doing his show there on Wednesday for some day baseball. So I'm excited for that. Are you going to put him through the ringer?
I am. Are you going to come put him through the ringer?
On Wednesday? Yeah, I really could. I could get out there. I know that doesn't sound like a very concrete answer, Marty.
But that's kind of how you've been the last 9 months.
Wow.
No, he's right.
He's coming to Warner Park, so that tracks. That tracks.
He's actually very correct about that. I'm way too wishy-washy. I need to just tell people no. But I don't like telling people no, Marty. That's the thing. I don't like saying no.
They just want certainty.
They just want what?
They want certainty.
Yeah,
and you're just offering,
I offer
ambiguity.
wishy-washy. Exactly.
All right, Marty. So what's happening with the Storm Chasers? You mentioned all these things you're going up head to head with. What if any events do you have going on here this weekend?
There's a lot. We were gone this past weekend, and yet we still had, I think, 7 events Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the ballpark has been used, continues to be used, and I bring that up because we're soon to go over our 5 millionth Storm Chaser fan. That will happen later this month of June.
Wow.
Which is a major accomplishment for us. And then probably sometime in early to mid-July, we'll go over our 6 millionth ballpark fan, meeting Storm Chasers games as well as all of our special events. So quite a milestone for Sarpy County and the Omaha Metro specific to AAA baseball. This is the modern era since 2011. So this week, we start our June games, Schaefer. This week starts tomorrow. Las Vegas comes to town for the first time since 2019.
And it's going to be a celebration. The whole month's going to be a celebration as we head towards 5 million and as we head towards America's 250th on July 3rd and 4th.
We touch up on this every so often, Marty. But last I heard from you, it's been a really strong partnership with Diamond Baseball Holdings, the new sort of ownership group of the club. How have you seen that sort of manifest itself now as we've started this new season and everybody sort of gets their bearings about what it means to be to be in that group?
Yeah, it's a great question. To be one of 49 clubs, there are a lot of resources that we have that the other, whatever that were, 71 minor league clubs don't necessarily have in terms of a variety of supports. And I think our team is not started to. I think they are leaning hard into it, whether it be digital marketing, whether it be, special events opportunities like Cosmic Baseball. We recently announced we're going to host the third iteration of I call it alternative baseball. Boom Ball will be coming out to the park on August the 15th. So, fans should go to Boom Ball and sign up for tickets there. It's a different set of rules each inning. It's co-ed baseball. I mean, it's different than Bananas. It's different than Cosmic. And so our team's really leaning in to those new offerings. And, without soccer being at Warner Park, we're able to do those events. I mean, for example, on May 8th and 9th with Cosmic, in 2 nights, we did what we would have done in an entire half of a soccer season attendance-wise, over a 20-game schedule.
Crazy.
So, no slight to Union Omaha, but baseball still rules here in the Metro.
So I got to ask, it's going to be my first 4th of July as an Omahan. I don't have plans yet. I see Freedom Weekend on the schedule. Yep. What's the 4th of July like around the ballpark at Warner Park? As I put together my options for what I can do for what should be a big, fun weekend, as you mentioned, America's 250.
Yeah, it will. Look, either you're home the whole weekend or you're not. And we lucked into being home on the 250th. And so we're home. This is the first time in our 58-year history that we'll be home on both dates. Usually you get one or the other. Yep. And the third, Schaefer, will be the more traditional night, which, we do year in, year out. We'll obviously wear our patriotic jerseys, and we will have a number of things that will pay tribute to those that protect and serve, as well as, nearly 20-minute fireworks show following, hopefully, another Storm Chasers victory. And it will be, more of a traditional independent celebration at Warner Park. The 4th is going to be America's birthday. There'll be more pomp and circumstance. We will be releasing all those details within the next 7 to 10 days on what, those things will be and, what type of different promotions. So again, long fireworks show after that as well. And we're humbled to be home this year. And of all years, you may as well be home on 250th.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like usually you get the luck, it's the luck of the draw. You're either home of the 3rd or the 4th, like you said. But in this year, you had to figure, well, because this is how all, baseball people think. If there's a draw to be had one way or the other, it's probably going to go against us. And you got it. You kind of won the lottery. You got the 3rd and the 4th at home.
Hey, look, you sound like Marcus Sabata, our vice president of sales. He shared with the team, look, we're going to be 60% through our schedule on July 5th, which means we have had a ton of early baseball games in not ideal weather. And we really need to take advantage, from a sales and a marketing perspective. But more than that, just reminding people the opportunity to come celebrate. There's nothing more Americana than minor league baseball on the 3rd or 4th. And this year you can do it both nights if your heart desires, or, if you generally have, family celebrations on one night or the other, you don't have to choose. You can actually come out this year, which will be a great thing for people.
Beautiful. Marty Corday, our president of the Omaha Storm Chasers. Marty, always great to talk to you, my friend. We will talk to you soon.
Connor, thanks. I'm going to make one mention. Lori Schlender, longtime 25-year employee of the club, retires this Wednesday.
Wow.
Connor, I know you know Lori a little bit.
Yep.
She's been an integral part of everything that we've been able to do since she came on full-time with me, my first year as GM in 2008. But I just want to give her a special shout out, a special salute. And she's meant so much to the game of baseball, having been the Rawlings Woman of the Year in 2017 and all of professional baseball. And, Lori leaves as our CFO, but, she's changed our franchise and the industry in a lot of ways over the last 25 years. So just want to give her a special shout out.
Thanks, Marty. You're the best. Talk to you later.
See you guys.
Marty Cordero, the Omaha Storm Chasers. We'll take a break. 9 o'clock hour coming up next.
Welcome back to Happer and Schaefer here, 9 o'clock hour. I am Mike Schaefer. Connor Happer out for the rest of the show today. So you are getting Mike Schaefer, Joey Warcola, no Michael Bruntz in the 9 o'clock hour. He has an obligation that he forgot that he had. He let us know. We're going to try to get him later this week.
He's not back in town.
I'm not sure. Yeah, he is not back in town. So that that will not play. But hopefully sometime this week we get to hear the vocal stylings of one Joey as he
I don't know if you want to call it vocal stylings.
well, I don't know what I would call it exactly. I didn't want to call
It's not my
warbling.
it's not my best. Usually the best is when I'm not in public.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, nobody's ever sung well while in public. They all do their best singing when nobody can see
that's
them.
true. That's true.
In their vehicle with the windows rolled up or the shower or somewhere else. But nobody actually does their best singing in front of other people. All right, Joey. I got a few topics I want to hit on here as we clear out the deck. And then we're going to invite a special guest into the studio to talk to us about life as a future Hammond Bears fan.
Oh, I can't wait.
So we'll be doing that here in the 9 o'clock hour. But before we get there, plenty of other things to mention here. First, let's start with this one. NBA Finals Game 3 tonight. You, of course, myself too. I thought this was going to be a Spurs in 5, maybe 6, but not a particularly competitive series. Instead, we've gotten 2 very competitive games. The Knicks have come away with both wins by outplaying the Spurs in the final couple minutes of each contest.
In the second half, too, they were both trailing.
Yeah,
they were trailing double figures in both games 1 and 2, and they made a big comeback, and they took control of that. And
Spurs were the team that came back in game 2, right? They just didn't finish it.
Yeah, they did not finish it.
Right.
They had a bad blunder. Noticing the Wemby turnover that led to the Jalen Brunson free throw that got them up by 1. And then the final possession of the game, and I kind of said this on Twitter, we saw this several times in the game. Wemby is not going to the paint a lot, using his size as an advantage. Right. He's playing more like a guard, taking all those jump shots. And I thought the final play of game 2 was poorly drawn up, having him shoot near the 3-point line.
Right. It was like a 23-foot shot or whatever.
He's proven to make those shots throughout his time in the NBA, but he hasn't been hitting them in this series alone.
The worst part about that, I didn't think the play drawn up was particularly good or creative. It almost never is. Those usually are always ISO clear outs and one guy shooting over somebody else, which can be great when it hits and you know, what have you. I didn't love his I'm not going to make this shot, so I'm going to try to fall down to draw a foul here. Yeah, when there really wasn't any clear contact or inability to land. It was like, oh no, this is definitely what you do if you're an NBA player. And I can't fault him for doing it.
That's the play nowadays. That's kind of how things are nowadays in the NBA. Players you're playing to get to the line
so much.
That started with James Harden trying to jump his way into the line.
Yeah.
And now we see everybody really doing it. SGA's been doing it. Wemby's noticeably been doing it since his entrance in the league. Luka Doncic, and then you can name another few.
Yeah, no, and again, I understand why it happens. I'm glad the officials didn't reward it with anything, but it looks even dumber when you get a bad shot. That whole sequence looks even worse when it ends with you sort of throwing yourself on the ground in a last-ditch effort to try to get a call for a game you really have no business winning with how they blew it in the final.
I just don't see why they could draw him up into the paint, because you're more likely to get to the line in that position.
You're going through literal contact to that position, not when you're shooting a 25-footer or whatever it ended up being at the end of regulation. Do you think that it works against the Knicks to have all of this hype and all of this energy coming into a game 3 at home, where you're already up 2-0, the Spurs need this game.
They need to win
any chance.
They need to win 2 on the road.
Right.
Now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They have to win 4 or 5, which that's a challenging task for such a young squad. And I kind of said this the previous day. It's kind of now coming down to youth versus veteran, and the Knicks obviously having the advantage of that, and that's kind of what's led them to a surprisingly 2-0 lead, winning the first 2 on the road. Did not see that coming. I was not shocked the Knicks were able to win one of them, but to see them go up 2-0 It's pretty amazing to see what they've been doing. It's a nightmare scenario for me as a Celtics fan, but you got to give credit for where it's due for that program. Mike Brown having an awesome first year as their head coach. Then Jalen Brunson, even though he's struggling shooting the basketball, his numbers aren't great. They're still finding ways to win. And then how about Karl Anthony Towns defending Wemby well? I think one of the games Wemby shot like 2 for 12 from the field. Then another game he shot a little better, but he hasn't been playing great just due to Karl Anthony Towns' defense.
Well, and I think one of the things that maybe was you're mentioning here with the veterans versus the youth, like you have to sustain being able to play at this high of a level for this long. And when you haven't had to do that, that's hard to do. It's hard to reach back in and find that extra level, extra gear every time through. And then on top of it, like Wemby hasn't played this many minutes.
No, he hasn't.
As he's like they were very cautious with sort of his minutes and
he hovered around, I think, 30 minutes a game throughout the season.
And now he's basically playing every minute of every game.
Yeah, he's
getting out for a little bit, but for the most part, he's out there the entire time. That adds up. That's like this is why even if you aren't someone who thinks that LeBron is an amazing player, whatever. Just from the physical sheer standpoint of how many seasons he played, literally all the way to the finals or deep into the playoffs, like all of those minutes, that all adds up onto your body. And it's a mental grind. It's a physical grind. What do you think happens tonight?
I think San Antonio takes one of these road games.
You hope San Antonio takes one.
I think they can take one of these road games. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement in that building. And I think the Knicks will at least win one of these two.
Sure.
I honestly think the Spurs are going to win tonight.
Okay.
Just I would like to see things interesting. Obviously, as a Celtics fan, I want to see the Spurs pull off a comeback. Just would be hilarious for the special guest showing up to the arena, pulling the curse on their beloved franchise. It's going to be a fun environment, and it's good to find out that there's going to be a watch party over, I think, in Bryant Park in New York. I just found out earlier on social media. So
watch parties aren't completely done then.
But it's dead around the arena at the moment.
Well,
just for tonight, and we'll see what happens for Game 4 on Wednesday. If the Knicks are up 3-0, or if the Spurs were able to steal one on the road, we'll have to see. Did you think the Spurs should have called a timeout after that before Wemby had that pass to Castle for the turnover?
Yeah, because I mean, in the NBA, you always get set at the center court, so that makes it a little bit more advantageous. You can set things up. I think they wanted to go trying to catch them defensively a little bit out of sync, and you just have sort of an unforced error where Wemby passes it to the shoulder or the back.
He took a little time to pass the basketball.
Well, that's why I think Castle turned, right?
Yeah, that's when
Wemby was going to go up court with it.
And give credit to Brunson. He noticed that, and he was able to snatch the basketball, and then Wemby fouled him.
Yep.
Send him to the line, hit 1 of 2 at the line.
Yep. And New York wins the game. And so we'll find out what happens tonight. I ideally want San Antonio to win to continue the series a little bit. I've enjoyed just popping in. Same with the NHL. I mean, they had another crazy game on Saturday.
Yeah, it was
5-4.
It was 4-0
for Vegas. They blow that lead, and then they win 5-4.
So Vegas scored 4 goals in the second period, and then Carolina scored
3 from 1 guy. He was almost my man of the weekend.
Yeah,
whose name I've forgotten already. But
for Carolina or Vegas?
For Vegas.
For Vegas.
Yeah, he had 3 goals in the second period for a second period alone hat trick. He had an assist on the 4th goal. And then they win in overtime off of a deflection.
It was just crazy because it was 4-0 and then 4-4, and then they had to go to double overtime to decide a winner.
No, that series.
Crazy. I'm curious what's the longest NHL or Stanley Cup game ever? Because those games
we get to a triple overtime game in the play. I don't know if it was a Stanley Cup game, but
I'm not too sure as well.
I thought we had 1 triple overtime NHL playoff game. Maybe.
I would think just these games could go on for a very long time because obviously in between the third period and the first overtime, you get the intermission periods.
8 triple ones in Stanley Cup final history.
Wow.
That's nuts.
Man, I can't imagine what's the most recent one. Because I never remember seeing a triple overtime on the box score. I've
The
seen
Winnipeg Jets knocked out
Jets.
the Oilers in 2021 in
Oh,
just
wow.
a triple overtime playoff.
Oh, wow.
Not a Stanley Cup final.
Well, playoff in general as well.
Sure,
I've
yeah.
not really seen one in a
I
long
want to say
time.
there's a famous one that happened with Buffalo because they tend to have these bad things happen to them in these.
Yeah, they
these sort of
usually do. Not
scenarios.
just hockey, just their sports teams in general.
Yeah, in general.
But
That's fair.
should be an interesting game 3 tonight. I'm excited to see what the vibes are in New York, even though I worry for the city. Regardless of it,
Your
of
fake
them winning or
concern for
losing.
the city of New York or for anybody that isn't you is
Anyone that's not
in a lot of
affiliated
ways.
with that fan base. Like people everyday citizens trying to get
just trying to
through,
live their lives.
live
and
their
then
lives. They have to wake.
bing-bonged.
They have to wake up early in the morning, go to work, probably listening to Happer and Schaefer as they make
As
their
one
trek to the
does.
subway station. Who
As
knows?
one
Who
does.
knows?
A couple other college football things to mention here. Brendan Sorsby had his appeal denied by the NCAA, which isn't a big surprise. They determined that they want to uphold their rules and regulations as it relates to gambling, especially when gambling in your own sport on your own team. These are things that Brendan Sorsby did while at the University of Indiana, amongst gambling on many, many, many other things. He gambled multiple times on Indiana while he was on that team. I don't know that there is as much evidence of him gambling while playing for Indiana, but certainly was gambling while on the Indiana team before he was the starting quarterback there. And so he had appealed. The NCAA denies it. His lawsuit is still pending outcome. We'll see if there's an injunction here that will allow him to play, but he is running out of the process. If the lawsuit gets thrown out, if there's no injunction, if it's determined that he is to be held liable for his actions, then we aren't going to see Brendan Sorsby playing for Texas Tech this year. That creates a ripple effect for what could happen for the Big 12, and they're likely only one playoff spot. Maybe they can get 2, but it opens the door a little bit for BYU, which lost twice last year, both times to Texas Tech. To my guy, Willie Fritz down in Houston. I believe they won 9 or 10 games last year. They returned a lot of those guys. Very good coach. They'll be competitive. And then Texas Tech, I mean, they didn't have Brendan Sorsby and they made it to the semifinals a year ago. They will have guys that are familiar with their offense. It's just that their level of overall talent and team drops off when you go from a guy in Sorsby that was really expected to elevate them, not unlike what Fernando Mendoza had done for Indiana. I don't know that it results in a national championship from Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders, but that's what's at stake for them. So we'll see if anything comes out early this week with the Brendan Sorsby lawsuit. And then one last thing from college football here. North Dakota is in trouble. They're on Nebraska's schedule this year. Nebraska normally has a team on its schedule that's in trouble year in and year out with the NCAA or for various things. Normally that team is Michigan, which famously often has interim head coaches when they take on Nebraska these days. But this time, North Dakota, the team that's in trouble, self-reported impermissible contact between a coach and a scholarship player elsewhere before that individual entered the portal. They self-reported this when they realized that the player hadn't entered the portal and yet was engaged in conversations with the coach. The penalty here, the school coaches and NCAA enforcement staff agreed upon the following penalties without the need of a formal hearing: 1 year probation, $25,000 fine, a 1-week ban on recruiting communications for the football program during the January 2027 notification of transfer window, a 3% reduction in official paid visits in football, and 3 1-week bans on football unofficial visits during the 26-27 academic year, a 1-year show cause order for Steps, the coach that the assistant coach, I'll look up that first name here in a little bit, and a 1-game suspension for the same coach during the 2028 season. So all of that for impermissible contact.
Man, that's a lot.
It does feel like a lot, and it does kind of set the stage for Pete Golding at Ole Miss and everything that's kind of going on there. If you're Dabo Sweeney and you're paying attention to this, and this is a self-reported, North Dakota situation, you're Dabo Sweeney, you're like, all right, well, Pete Golding isn't going to be coaching for much longer at Ole Miss because That was a lot for one incident in which, again, North Dakota's like, yeah, we made a mistake. Here's everything that happened. We agree to, a lot of that we did this wrong. What are you going to levy against us? Quite a bit there. So we'll see as we go through this era here of college football where there's always a lot seemingly happening, and it's questionable how much of it is legal and how much of it a team can get away with and everything else. So we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that. The North Dakota Fighting Sioux, I believe they play. No, they're not the Fighting Sioux. They're Fighting Hawks.
Fighting Hawks.
Fighting Hawks.
They are the Fighting Hawks, and that's Nebraska's third opponent on the schedule. That's the 6:15 BTN.
September 19th. That sound right?
Yes, or maybe September. I think September 19th. Yeah. You got it right. You got it right because first Saturday is September 5th.
September 19th. Nebraska, North Dakota, they'll be looking to close out their non-conference with another win there. All right. Well, we are looking to send you to Funplex. And so in order to do that, you need to be listening very closely. But first, I want to tell you about what's going on with Funplex 1620 The Zone. They're teaming up for a mammoth kickoff week. Funplex, of course, 69th and Q Street, set to open their new roller coaster, the Mammoth, early this summer, which will be Nebraska's largest roller coaster. Plenty of rides. You got the Speedway, you got the go-karts, you got the Wipeout, you got all of that stuff. There's the water park. You got all of these things going on at Funplex, and we here at 1620 want to send you. So listen all week to Happer and Schaefer for a chance to win a pair of passes into Funplex. Be the fourth caller to get those passes right now. Welcome back to Happer and Schaefer here. Mike Schaefer sitting in my normal chair, but Connor Happer is not in his. He is off for the 9 o'clock hour. No Michael Brunt's here today. He has other obligations, and so I was like, all right, we've got an open segment. There has been a happening in the NFL, and there's a guy sitting out there who arrives early enough that he had gotten all his prep done for his show. He wasn't
Not
doing
really.
anything.
Not
He
at
was
all.
just sitting around wondering what he could do with his free time. And I thought, hey, Matt McMaster, you want to come talk about your new Hammonders?
Why not?
We could call this Morning Mondays with Matt McMaster.
I don't think isn't Morning Mondays with Matt McMaster just called the crossover?
No, you're not.
Just what we
No,
do
no,
anyway.
we'll call it Morning
Yeah,
Mondays.
I appreciate it. I mean, the show's basically done. I have the ESPN College Football Preview magazine, and so the show has been written for
There you
days at
go.
this point. So yeah, I would love to talk about it. I was not on the air on Friday when it all went down.
You were famously involved with a move that didn't start any way, shape, or form how you thought it
We'll
would.
talk about it on the cross.
But the end product, you are ultimately happy.
I'm very happy. Well, you know what? I'll save my story for the crossover about my apartment this morning.
Okay.
But something happened to my apartment this morning that really made me realize just what a dump I was living in for the last 18 months.
Okay.
So now we are in I've shown you the pictures. It's a very nice setup. I'm very happy about it.
It's a good way to spend your 20.
It was about a 17-hour
Odyssey
process.
Sure.
I mean, and it's not just because we weren't moving, we were transferring.
Sure.
And so a lot of
in the same
same
complex,
apartment
yeah.
unit,
which I've done before. It's an unusual event.
The thing is that for example, the condiments, right? I have all these condiments. You would typically just throw all those out and be like, we'll just buy new ones or whatever. And we had to move all of the there are just things that we would have
that's
thrown.
easy enough.
Well, I'm just saying,
You
but
put
there
it
are
in a tub and-
there are multiple bags of things that
Sure.
you would be more privy to throw out if
my-
you weren't transferred.
General assumption, and I know you want to talk about this on the crossover, but we'll just leave you with this. My assumption is that you're talking about bags. You probably didn't pack as efficiently as necessary.
I don't think
with
we
this.
recognized how much we had to move.
Yeah, that's the thing with moving.
We did not know how much we really
It's the last
owned.
10% that is the most miserable part of the experience.
It felt like the last 6 hours we were perpetually 2 hours away. We were like, we're 2 hours away. And they're like, no, we're not. We're
Nope,
2 hours
that's-
away. No, we're not. Oh, we're
that's
2
moving.
hours. Like and this is like you move out from college, but when you move out from college, you have like 8 bags.
Sure.
Like, what do you really have? You don't really have any furniture. This was the first real proper move I've ever had in my life. We'll talk about it more on the crossover.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Bears, though.
Yeah, the Bears are making
What
a
is going
proper
on?
move.
What is going on?
They are properly moving out of the state of Illinois, which will not give them enough funding or whatever it is. That
Tax
they
breaks.
see.
They want tax breaks.
Well, of course they do.
It's always a
We want
money
tax
problem.
Why would a $1 billion entity want to pay
Yeah.
taxes?
They want to get, it's not
No,
necessarily.
sorry, we're not that kind of.
It's not as much necessarily as like getting the taxpayer money to build the stadium as much as it is that they want some breaks on property taxes. And they definitely don't want to get reassessed because the property that they bought, Arlington Heights, was worth about $200 million. And it's going to be worth a lot more than that when they put a, projected $2 billion stadium on that plot of land.
How little is it going to go for when they go to sell it? Since they won't actually.
You know what?
utilize it?
If and this is a honest take, if they end up just rebuilding Arlington Park, like if they just end up rebuilding the
What is
racetrack,
it's a former.
so
racetrack.
if they end up rebuilding that racetrack and they have horse races there again, and the Bears move to Hammond, Indiana, I'll actually come away as thinking this is a win.
Okay.
I'll actually, if they rebuild the horse track, I'll actually be like, you know what? I'd rather have the horsies here than the Chicago Bears, so I'll be totally fine.
This seems like a thing that, if you needed to sell people as to like, oh, you don't think I like horse racing? I was more excited when the horses moved into Arlington Park than the Bears.
I'm going to be real with you. Arlington Park was awesome. It was a staple of plenty of people's childhoods and a staple of plenty of people's adulthoods. And, it was a great place to have, and they shut down. Now, I don't know why they shut, like the full reasons as to why they shut down. It's very unrealistic that is happening. I'm just making a joke about it. But yeah, I mean, my honest assessment of the entirety of the Bears situation is that everybody involved with it is an idiot. So that's just kind of my go-to stance. There
Do
are
people in Chicago really care about this?
Yes, people do really care that they're going to have to travel longer in more traffic,
Like
to
another
Bears games.
30 to 45
But
minutes.
no, longer than that, because the roads, you don't have as many lanes going into that part of Indiana. You don't have 4 lanes going into Hammond, Indiana. You have like 2.
Going
you
into
know?
Indiana from I-80, I-94, it's all chaos over there.
It's completely crazy. So yeah, people like season ticket holders are upset that they're going to have to travel longer to games. There definitely is a pride thing. You don't want. I don't care about the jokes. You call them the Ham Bears. You make the Hammond, Indiana jokes. I think they deserve it. They're dumbasses. They deserve to be joked about. They deserve to be made fun of. They deserve to be dragged through the mud. I don't really care. I don't care that they should be made fun of. There are some people who aren't like me who do get very upset about all the jokes that are being made about their team, and
To be fair,
that makes
was
them
you
care.
for the first half.
Now, I mean,
it
this has been such a pony show that I'm tired of it.
Not
I'm
even a dog and pony show.
It's just a pony. I'm just so tired of it. I really don't care anymore. And also, honestly, too, guys, like I haven't been to a Bears game. Like the Bears game I'm going to go to on Christmas is going to be the first Bears game I've been to in like 8 years.
Oh, you're going to the Packers Bears
I am
game
going
on
to the
Christmas.
Packers Bears game on Christmas. But that's the first game I've gone to in 8 years. And like, it was already such a pain in the ass going to Bears games growing up that it's like we didn't really do it all that often. So like, it's not like it's going to affect me or my family anymore because it gives us even more of a reason to not go to those games. So, it's everybody involved is an idiot. Kevin Warren is an idiot. George McCaskey always has been, but is an idiot. The state of Illinois, the legislature, they're a bunch of dummies. They've been ever since I was born. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, all right, this is a culmination of a bunch of idiocy coming together and embarrassment on a national stage. George McCaskey will always be the guy that let the Bears go to Indiana. Kevin Warren will always be the guy who brought the Bears to Indiana. J.B. Pritzker will always be known as the governor who let the Bears go to Indiana. It's funny, right, to hear it. The Bears going to Indiana, but that's what it is.
It's crazy of the timing because the Bears.
I hate the timing argument. I don't care about the timing.
They're finally good. They win the NFC North. They beat the Packers in an epic comeback.
That's
nearly got to the NFC Championship
game.
Take. All of that good stuff happening with the Bears, and then this bombshell.
The Bears. I hope the Bears possibly moving to Indiana doesn't affect Caleb Williams' completion percentage.
Very few things are going to make that over.
There you go. There you go.
So, what is the timing on all of this? They're still at Soldier Field for the upcoming season. They're still there at least for 27.
They want it to have a decision made by the end of. I believe they want shovels in the ground by next spring. I believe is when they want to get things done. They wanted to have a vote around this time to decide where they were going. So they've been kind of on par with the timeline. I believe it's next spring they want shovels in the ground. But the thing is that the Bears, it looked like they were bluffing to go to Indiana. And when the Illinois state legislature decided, the House specifically decided not to vote on the bill that would have made them possible to build in Arlington Heights, it was a little bit akin to Illinois calling their bluff and Illinois being like, you aren't really going to go to Indiana. And then they made this vote to be like, we're going to advance things. And so it's the Bears kind of doubling down. They still could call a special session. Like the bill,
still a world.
The bill. Indiana is in the lead. It is not done. Like Indiana, they are advancing.
Where's
talks,
Iowa in case Davenport wants to get?
We need the.
They're nowhere to be
River
found
Bears.
yet.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found.
The Mississippi River Bears were my favorite version of the Bears.
They are. There's a reason why the word advancing was used. We are advancing. So the Illinois state legislator, in theory, could call a special session to have this bill, this that would help them build Arlington Park. They could call a special session, get that voted through, and then Illinois could be back in the lead. But kind of the Bears recalling their bluff, if you will, that they're actually going to go to Indiana. Once again, I'm at the point where I don't really care about this.
Yeah, just go with me a little bit here.
I'll go with you.
How ugly would it get if the Bears are going to Indiana. They're still playing at Soldier Field. The season doesn't go well. Like you have,
Oh, it'd be so ugly.
you basically, if you're McCaskey or Warren or any of the people involved in this entire thing, that has to be the nightmare scenario because it's already, there's going to be an element of ugly to it whenever they leave Soldier Field because that's what they've been. I mean, that's the Bears.
Yeah.
As they've been known. You combine that with the fact, like, if they don't have a good follow-up on last year's breakout or, whatever that is, I'm not trying to paint too dark of a picture.
No,
I still want you to be able to go forward
this is
with
great.
Your show.
Yeah. No, it'd be terrible.
But you would get a little bit of a A's in Oakland kind of vibe the last year.
Yeah, but at the same time,
they're not going that far away.
It's not even that. That place is still going to be sold out every Sunday. Like the Bears are still going to be the Bears, regardless of where you put them. Like people are still going to love them. People are still going to root for them. They're still going to be very important. And people having disdain for the ownership is nothing new. That's not a new thing whatsoever. I mean, people have been very upset with ownership for quite a while. And the only thing Ben Johnson has really just been a Band-Aid on it, if you will, in terms of people being upset. But then you still get people like me who go, okay, yeah, they hired Ben Johnson, but it took a meeting between Poles and Warren for him to finally fire Eberflus after that fiasco at Thanksgiving. It took, them begging him to cough up a big enough paycheck to get Ben Johnson to come from
Sure.
It took a lot of begging and
not
whining.
Super highly thought of
No.
organization.
So to say that what is the reaction going to be? Yeah, they'll continue to be very upset with them, probably at a level that we haven't seen before, But it's funny you put the word when they leave Soldier Field. I'm of the belief that even if they go to Arlington Heights at this point, that it's been such a slog to get to that destination that people would still be like, who cares? This is so dumb. Like, why are they even leaving? So, I mean, there's a lot of, once again, the best way to describe all of this is just a bunch of stupidity.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of stupidity, and it's just a lot of bad decisions made from multiple parties all coming together to culminate in a massive national embarrassment, which this has been. Which all I see is jokes about the Indiana Bears and the Hammond Bears and pot shots from just about every single NFL franchise. And I'm at this point a despondent fan of the team that's just like, they deserve it. They deserve it. They deserve everything that they got coming to them. They deserve every joke. They deserve every eye roll. They deserve every, A block on first take, calling them a joke of the franchise, because that's how they're operating right now. And, who would have thought that the man who canceled the Big Ten regular season prematurely would have ended up having a really tough time getting a big project done in the third largest city in the country. Who would have thought that could have happened?
I'm shocked that he's struggling with media optics yet again. Who could have imagined such a thing? I think what everyone really wants to know, though, is over the last 72 hours, how has Mike McMaster
Mike's been pissed.
Been handling these things? How many Claypools have been dropped? These are the sorts of borderline wanted to just see if we could call him and just get his unfiltered view, but then I didn't want to put you in a spot where you're putting your dad on the live radio and you don't know how it's going to go.
Mike McMaster, totally agree. Bears ownership have taken advantage of loyalty of their fans for decades, and our idiotic state and Chicago's legislatures can't figure out a way to finance a new stadium. This is what happens when incompetent parties try to make a business deal. The true loyal fans end up getting screwed. I'm just hoping everyone comes to their senses before this is finalized. I will not go to or root for the Hammond Bears.
Whoa!
If the McCaskies are stupid enough to dump on their Chicago fan base by building a Bears stadium in Hammond, then they should plan on moving their families out of there too.
Whoa! I love it.
That is Mike McMaster.
Not rooting for the Bears.
I don't want your dad to quit rooting for the Bears.
I think that's
been a foundation of sadness for much of his life.
Yes. Well, he was 23.
You got the big year.
He was 23 years old when they won the Super Bowl.
You're already older than your dad was when he saw a Super Bowl title?
Wow.
I was thinking about this. Like, Is Caleb Williams my Patrick Ewing in terms of the New York Knicks? Like, because the
I
Knicks
think you
had
need him to be a little bit more.
Is the Knicks, because the Knicks had the 70-72 teams that win the championship.
Sure.
And all of those kids were told how great Earl Monroe and Willis Reed and Clyde Frazier were, right? And then you go ahead and those guys, then like the next generation is born and they're told how great those guys were, and then they see Pat Ewing and they're like, oh my God, this is it. But then Pat doesn't win a title. And then they go all these years and now they finally get Brunson. Is Derrick Rose my Pat Ewing and Caleb Williams is now my Jalen Brunson? Or is Caleb Williams my Pat Ewing and I just have to wait?
What's your Rock Chalosky in all of this?
Connor Bedard. Which, by the way, did you see that report that they may not draft him?
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I do believe that.
I think it's posturing.
It would be
such an idiotic thing for them to do.
But Mike, it's the White Sox.
I understand.
That's kind of their brand. You think the Bears are poorly run.
So
you should see the baseball franchise run by Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to finish up the show. We will let Matt go back to prepping, or he can sit in for this
I'll
segment.
just sit in at this
whatever
point.
he wants to do.
I'll just sit in. Are we doing a bracket sim?
I don't know.
No,
we have to see if it
we
works.
don't do that.
I don't think it works anymore.
The entire field of 8 has not been finalized.
But it also they didn't change the properties in it. It
Oh.
allowed teams that had already been eliminated to continue to
We're
win.
gonna find you a new sim.
I know. So we'll look into that during the break, but we'll finish up Happer and Schaefer when we return here on Hey, welcome back one final time here on Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer here, Connor Happer out in the 9 a.m. hour this morning. Matt McMaster hanging out with us. And before Matt entered to tell us about the sad, sordid tale of the Chicago Bears and their franchise shuttering its doors in Chicago forever, whenever that seems to come to
They
pass.
still could end up being at Arlington Heights.
Shuttering a long storied franchise with its one Super Bowl
There
win.
it is.
Does
Thank
this-
you.
Does this make Hammond our city of the day for Friday, or should we wait for when Happer returns?
Well, we have severe city again, so we'll
Oh,
see
that
if
would
he has
probably be
another weird
even
city
worse.
he'd like to do. I feel like
Or-
we need to wait for Happer to return.
Let's wait for Happer to
and we
return
need
and
it
let
to be
Severe.
finalized.
Yeah.
We need,
I know.
It ain't gonna be
I'm just-
finalized for a while.
and then we have to go to the subway in Hammond. These are the things that we
I totally
need to
forgot.
do.
We got to go there.
So we'll worry about
We'll do
that
a show from there.
when that comes to pass. But before Matt came to sit in, we were talking about some college football stuff, and one of the things was the NCAA denied Brendan Swordsby's appeal, but did mention in there was a lawsuit. He was seeking an injunction that would allow him to play for the 2026 season for Texas Tech. Turns out, I have it here on ESPN. Joey, I don't know who broke the story. You're the one who told me. So technically, Joey
Was it a
broke
Thamel?
me.
I think it was a Thamel.
Probably a Thamel.
So-
I got the notification.
It was a Thamel.
Sorsby,
What do we call that? A Pete tweet or is that Nick?
Pete tweet,
Okay.
probably.
Pete tweet.
Sorsby granted injunction, eligible to play in 2026. So this is a big deal, as in it changes kind of the outlook. Again, Big 12 was a little more wide open when Sorsby wasn't involved. Now they had made it to a conference, not a conference, but like the quarterfinals of the playoffs as a number 4 seed a year ago without Sorsby, and they returned a lot of players. They lost a lot up front defensively, but they spent a lot in the portal to bring back some more talent. They're expected to be heavy favorites in the Big 12 with Sorsby. They have him back again. That opens up their offense a little bit. He is a Heisman candidate as well. It will be fascinating how he is received throughout college football as the year. Will people care? Will this be like any sort of distraction, I guess, if you would, for Texas Tech along the way? Like, there's
Sure.
a lot that
There's a lot of great questions.
that kind of goes into all of this. And it makes Texas Tech, once again, a viable national champion option, which they weren't really without Sorsby. I felt like that was a big deal. For me, this is a like double-edged thing where it's like, I don't think he should be playing. And yet at the same time, he was probably the guy I was most excited about of anyone that transferred and was starting over somewhere else.
They're going to have a really good offense. They bring back all their running backs and a really good tight end. You've seen the schedule, but can I read it to you, Texas Tech schedule?
Yeah, go
because
for
I
it.
think Texas Tech was going to make the college football playoff regardless of Sorsby being there.
Just depends on how many teams they would actually take out of the Big 12.
Abilene Christian, Oregon State, Houston, Sam Houston, Colorado, Arizona State, Cincinnati, Arizona, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU. That was their schedule. Out of those teams, which of them are going to be ranked in the top 15 to begin the year? Probably none of them.
Nope.
Probably none of them.
None.
I mean, I could see maybe Oklahoma State under Eric Morris having a magical year. And
Houston's a team that I would.
I know
suggest.
you like Houston a lot. It's just, and Willie Fritz is a big coaching guy for you. It's just one of those things where it's like their schedule. I mean, like Sark says some things, and I'm like, all right, coming from you, but like he wasn't totally incorrect when he was like, who are they really playing? Like they're not. I mean, this is a very, very easy schedule that they're playing compared to what Texas is. But yeah, I think this is I think you bring up a lot of great questions in terms of what will the outlook be, and will they end up being contenders, and will Sorsby be the villain, and will Texas Tech be easy to root against? I think that those are all great points. I immediately just jumped to what happened to the integrity of the sport, man. Like what happened to the
that's gone. Like we're at the point.
But this is a
where-
whole other level, in my opinion. This is a whole other level, because when in the history of sport have you ever been allowed to gamble in a game that you have very close connection to, and then you don't get punished severely? That's literally, I mean, unless somebody can come up with a specific case in point, I've never seen it before where you can have that sort of collusion style betting and you're still good. And what is the fallout from that is probably my biggest question.
Yeah, well, those are the sort of things that we'll get to explore every day at the Omaha Baseball Village.
You and I have to have a
when
talk.
we team up to talk sports while we're waiting for the baseball games to be played during the College World Series. All right, that is it for us today on Happer and Schaefer. We return on Tuesday with all of your favorites, like Jacob Padilla, and I already forgot who.
Mitch Sherman.
I forgot who our 8:30 was.
Mitch Sherman.
I literally have to. When I was in your chair, like I would have to re-look up my
I-
guest almost
my
every
brain-
week.
It's like my brain doesn't work when I have to do more talking on the show. Anyways, Happer returns. You're all going to be saved. The crossover is next.